Good morning and welcome to Sewing Street on this fantastic bank holiday Monday. Aren't we lucky to be here? It's bank holiday Monday. I didn't really notice because I'm in work, but I'm hoping you're all having a great time. Did you have a good Easter? I did. I was going to go for the whole roast lamb, but then I remembered I don't really like roast lamb. We had pie, beef and ale pie and masses of roast potatoes. In fact, you know when you never ever have quite enough roast potatoes? My middle son, who's 21, he had 20. 20. Yeah, 20. And I looked at them and thought, I'm sure they're never going to. Yeah, 20 roast potatoes at the end of it. He said, I think I feel a bit sick. Didn't have any pudding. Not as a surprise. So I hope you all had a really good Easter Sunday. I know it's a bit chilly outside today, but I think it's going to be a nice day. So I hope you get out and prance among the daffodils. I don't know, it's supposed to be sleeting later. It was all right this morning. Anyway, we've got a really good early bird for you, being as this is Sewing Street. We've got a fantastic sewing thread, early bird. This is brilliant because, well, if you use Aurifil thread, say no more. It is brilliant, isn't it? It is the creme de la creme of sewing thread. If, like me, I have used it now. If you had never used it before, I used to wonder what everyone was going on about. This is years ago, about Aurifil. It is fantastic. What's great about it, although it's a 50 weight thread, which is pretty much what you use for your sort of piecing, quilting, dressmaking, your normal weight sewing thread, it just feels finer. It runs through the machine better. You don't get those big blobs of fluff, which you get with the less expensive thread that you have to keep unthreading your machine. And it sits in the fabric better. There's something about, even when you just sew a seam, you don't get the same sort of raised look. Although it is the same weight, it sits in the fabric better. It's beautiful. So if you've not tried Aurifil thread, this is a fantastic thing to start off with. These are the colours you're going to use. There's 4 spools in this necessities pack. And each spool has 1,300 metres of thread. And our price today, you are saving, well, you're saving your postage, aren't you? £3. Well, our postage is £3.95, which is 53 pence. 63 pence per 100 metres. So a normal reel of thread, the normal sewing that you get, has normally got 150 metres on it. This is 1,300 metres. So it's 63 pence. That's really cheap, isn't it? But it's great because you've got white, a kind of a very darker cream, so they're not too close, which is quite useful because sometimes when you have a white and then an off-white and a cream, this is a deep cream. Then you've got a very silvery grey and black. So those, it's called necessities. Those are your necessities thread. But with that amount of thread on each spool, that's going to last you a long time, and they are your basics. So if you've not used Aurifil before, this is a great place to start. You will really notice the difference. You don't get the same puckering. Not that when you sew fabric together, it does pucker slightly purely because of the movement of the needle going through the fabric and upsetting it with thread. And I always press my seams afterwards. You don't get as much of that with the Aurifil thread. So yes, it is more expensive than, you can buy very cheap thread for, £1 a reel, but this is worth it. There are some of these more expensive items that aren't really worth it, but Aurifil is. So £32.99 for the 4 spools, £3 saving. We have got less than 50 of them now because you obviously know how great they are. The P&P is, if you haven't shopped with us before, is £3.95 for the day. It doesn't matter how much you buy, whether you only buy this, whether you buy this, 5 kits, 2 books, a machine and 3 fat quarters. Doesn't matter how much you buy in the day, you will only be charged between now and midnight the £3.95. So you're saving £3. So basically after that, well, other than 95p, your postage is free for the rest of the day. But it is a fantastic offer, and every now and then we're allowed to discount it. Not often with the Aurifil because it is beautiful. And it does all come in this lovely gift box as well. So if you're thinking, oh, well, I've nowhere to sew, I want to buy them something and they need something lovely, this is a great gift because it comes in a nice box. Karen has just messaged in from Northampton. Best thread in the world. It is. No, it is. It's Egyptian staple cotton and it is beautiful. And when I used to work on Sewing Quarter and I first met all these fantastic patchwork and quilters, always going on about Aurifil, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's probably just, how there are some of these products that people go on about, that bit sort of snooty about, elitist. So I thought, well, I'll give it a go. Pinched a reel from the studio. Now I've got to buy my own. But it is brilliant and it is worth it. So for the saving of your, basically saving your P&P, it really is worth it. Down to less than 40. Down to less than 40. In fact, now they've taken out those box. When you unreel it as well, they all come with this plastic coating on. I'll take one off. Gosh. So they are, use your strength, or maybe I might use a pair of scissors. Actually, these are so well sealed, I can't even open them. They weren't no fabric scissors were harmed in the opening of this. Yeah, don't worry, this is mine now, because I've opened it, so you can't have it. When you get it, just undo the bottom slightly, and then you'll find the end of the thread. Because when I first used Aurifil, it took me ages to find the end, because I didn't realise that. So there's the end, and then you just pop the end back on again. So when you want to, when you finish with it, rather than waste it, so you can see now how fine and how, you probably can't see, but it does drape really well. Should we go overhead? It is really strong. Oh, I have snapped it, but it will. But it is very, very strong. But it does have it does have lovely fineness for it. But when you are finished with it, you can then just pull the end off, and you can just reel it round there, because you don't really be wanting to waste your Aurifil. But just remember that, because when I first used it, I didn't realise that, and I could not for the life of me find the end. But it lives underneath this little bit, which is quite handy. There we go. So, very limited now. I'm not surprised, because it is a fantastic offer today. And it's, there are lots of you who are buying more than one pack, because this is going to last you quite a while. But if you buy yourself a few boxes, that's it, your year's sorted, isn't it? And all of those colours, I mean, grey is brilliant. Grey is really good for like rainbows. If you're doing any sort of, when you're piecing together a quilt and it's made of so many colours you don't even know where to start, grey is your answer. Because grey will cover everything. It will cover all those multicolours. And it is quite almost a mauvey grey, because I either use grey or a very pale lilac, very, very sort of grey lilac for those colours that I don't know what to use. Your black will work with navy and brown and dark green and all of those dark colours, and then you've got the white and the cream. So that really pretty much covers. Obviously, if you want to do decorative top stitching, we do loads of other Aurifil threads. If you have a look on the website, we've got loads of other bright colours and specifics, but we don't do any at 63p for 100 metres. None at all. Bargain. Anyway. Oh, now, if you've been watching since Good Friday, you will have known or be aware of the Easter egg competition. So, we've got a special competition that's been running since Friday. It's called Spot the Egg. Spot the Egg. So, the rules are, you have got to have spotted where the egg is on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and today. I'm not going to tell you where it is. You've got to find it yourself. It's on the set somewhere, by the way. It's not like out the back that you can't see. It's on one of the sets. It's not in my car or cat eating it or anything. It is actually on the set somewhere. If you can message in, you have to email, is it studio@sewingstreet.com with where there we go, message the studio@sewingstreet.com with where the egg is on each of the 4 days. We will then pick a winner at random, if it's correct, and they get to win this prize. This is amazing. So each piece of fabric is 1/2 metre in length, and it's your full 44 inches, 112 centimetres, normal quilting fabric width. And there are, how many pieces, Kat? 100 pieces. And let me just show for free. No, you just win it. And we don't even charge you postage. You just get it. So look at all the colours. They are plain colours, but they have a texture. You can see it quite well in the red. You can see the texture. It's just an all-over texture, which just gives it... Where did those sheep come from? The sheep just came. Amazing. Easter sheep just ran across. So it's got this slight texture, which gives you a little bit more volume and interest than a plain fabric. But you've got red, cream, black, brown, pale blue, French blue, royal blue, mustard, red, purple, yellow, rust, deep cream, beige, purple. I'll keep going till Kat tells me to stop. Red, cream, really bright yellow. I mean, do you see what I mean? Like even the, so like there's about, even the two yellows are a different colour. Can you imagine the rainbow quilt you could make with this? Or what you could do to just have all of these beautiful different fabrics that you could just use, put in your stash, make loads and loads of things, or just think, right, do you know what, I'm going to make the most amazing quilt. Because you've got all the bright primaries and you've got lots of shades. So wherever you've got pink, you've got 8 different shades of pink, but you've got brown and black. I mean, look at it. So what you've got to do is have a look around the set. It is there. You need to find a golden egg and say where it is. What do they have to say where it is exactly? But does it have to say what set it's on or just where it? Sort of vaguely the location. Can you see it on set? Can you see it? If you keep watching all morning, we won't move it, we promise. It is in the same. Well, we've moved it every day, but we won't move it today. Message from Elizabeth. Wow, look at that colour. Happy Easter Monday, Rebecca and team from a snowy Cumbernauld outside Glasgow. Looking forward to another great show. Love your jumper. Oh, so thank you very much. Oh, I love my jumper too. It's so cosy. I only finished it last week, so I thought I've got to wear it because it might not be cold after this and it's a really warm jumper. I'm sort of, a message off Linda. I paid £10 for well-known thread that holds 1,000 metres at a well-known store. So yours is good value, definitely, Linda. And we got 4. 4, £32.99. 4 spools, 1,300 metres. Look at that green. There's so many greens in here. You could make a whole landscape. Look at them all. I could keep going all morning with all the colours in here. Anyway, there's loads and loads and loads of those. So if you want to win this amazingly fantastic prize, and it isn't all just colours, there are neutrals as well, email studio, you've got to email us, studio@sewingstreet.com, where the egg was on the set on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You will then be put into the draw and one of you lucky people will win this most amazing, it is all quilting weight fabric as well. It's not your sort of dress weight or lawn or polyester, it's 100% cotton. Oh, I've got a little, there we go. And I've got one that was a bit creased. Right. I don't think I've folded them back. I've got a few little, I might have to sort those out later. So there are still a few of the early bird left if you want to grab one of the 4 weights of 4 spools of Aurifil thread. But coming up today, we have, now, 8 o'clock, we have Joie de Vivre fabric, which is a brand new fabric range to us called Joie de Vivre by Michael Miller, and lots of other Michael Miller and coordinating fabrics too. So really nice touch of French this morning. At 9 o'clock we've got the lovely Jules on with us, who's showing us how to make the Be Happy wall hanging. It's beautiful, isn't it? You might have seen it on the socials all over the weekend. She's going to talk to us in detail, give us a real technical, what is Bondaweb, how do you use it, what's the best way to do it, and we've got kits and the book to make this gorgeous, happy spring wall hanging. At 10 o'clock it's the finale of Flowers of the Month. Da, da, da. So and April is the final flower because we started with May. So we've got the April flower and I'm going to show you, I spent Saturday making up this and working out how to do it. I'm going to show you how to make the final quilt. We've got a panel that's got all the sashing and the borders and the binding and the instructions, and I'm going to show you how to put it all together. And if you haven't seen Flowers of the Month before, or you've only got a few of them, you can collect the rest. And we've got a special bundle that's with all of the flowers and the binding panel and the instructions too. Anyway, I'm going to talk you all the way through that at 10 o'clock. But well, you can see the quilt behind me. It is beautiful, isn't it? I made it up over the weekend and put all the labels on it. It is stunning. Really love that. 11 o'clock, we've got Jules back with Crewel work. If you've never done Crewel embroidery, you will love this. Oh, there you are. There's the cushion that Jules has made us. the book, we've got proper Appleton's Crewel thread. We've got a book that explains all the techniques and what you can do, and Jules is going to show us. It is, I mean, the crewel work goes back centuries. The Bayeux tapestry was not a tapestry, it was embroidered in crewel work. It is beautiful, and it's a lovely thing to sew because it's sewing with wool, which is brilliant. 12 o'clock, we have got Yarn Lane today, and we have got two brilliant things. We have got the launch of West Yorkshire Spinners' new exquisite lace weight, and they have brought out 2 new patterns and 4 new colours. And we have got Anna Canales on with us, who is the designer of these, the jumpers and the scarves. And she's an absolute expert at knitting with lace weight yarn. It's all on pre-order if you want to buy it. There's a jumper and 2 scarves. And the beauty of lace weight is that you get a lot for your money because it's very fine, so it goes a long way. Anakin is a real lace weight yarn expert. So if you're interested in lace weight yarn, you want to get some really good tips, she really is the expert. And she designed these. I'm always so excited when we can actually get the designer on air. So look forward to that at 12 o'clock. Everything for the day is on pre-order. So if you've not shopped with us before, you need to log on to the website, www.sewingstreet.com. If you click on Watch Live and then scroll down, there's the early bird at the top. There you go. You can see the bestseller, which obviously we've only had one, so it's bound to be that. And then that changed during the day. And then if you scroll down, everything that we've got available to buy today is already on pre-order. So it means that you can get ahead, so that things aren't going to sell out. You can keep scrolling down. You think, oh, I'm really interested. I would like to buy some extra wide backing, or I want to get the bundle of crewel thread before I go, or I want to go onto Yarn Lane because I want to get one of those kits. Then you can just sit back and watch and enjoy. So it's all there. So you can have a good look through all the different items that we've got for sale. And it's all on the website, and also the flower of the month. So we are limited. We have got an unlimited number of the complete kits available today, like 49. So if you want to get those and you want to get in early, it's all on there. If you would rather order by phone, the number's on the screen, 0800 001 4433. You can call us as well. UK call centre, in fact, just around the corner from us. Completely free. They are in today. They're really helpful. So if there's anything you've seen on air and you miss what they said about the code or you're not sure, they're really good. They've got all the details. They'll be able to help you out. So you can order on the web or order on the phone. Entirely up to you. Right, so let's crack on with Joie de Vivre, the joy of life. So we have got for you today, it's Michael Miller. So we all know Michael Miller, quilting weight fabric, beautiful quality. And the designs in the Michael Miller Design House are always slightly unusual, a little bit quirky, not something you'd see anywhere else, but always beautiful. So the bundle has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 half meters. So you've got 3.5 meters in total, £51.99. So shall we have a little look at them? Let's have a look. Right, this is the first one. I'm going to move the bundle to one side so you can see. Oh, a sticker. This is white shelves. I love this. This is, this is beautiful, isn't it? Wouldn't it make a lovely dress? But it's really, because it's quilting weight fabric, but if you know Michael Miller, you'll know that it's very soft and smooth and it drapes really well. It's got an ivory coloured background and then all the print is in black and red. It is little shelves. There's a clock, ties, little potion bottles, a little purse, I don't know if that's a little bag, handkerchief, pots, toothbrush. I mean, it's brilliant for fussy cutting. If you were doing EPP, isn't that lovely? You can see it on that one. The little tooth mug with the toothbrush, really like that. But you'd be brilliant for fussy cutting if you just wanted a clock in the centre of a hexie, or you were doing some applique. But again, really lovely for patchwork and quilting as well, because because it's all in lines. You could make, if you were doing a design or a quilt or something that was in stripes, this is in very definite strips. So it's very multi-purpose. I really like, and it has got a really soft ivory background. So it's called white, but it isn't really. It's white. It's called white, but it's actually ivory. Now the same design is in red. It's a lovely red. It's a really pillar box red. Now, these are also available by the half metre. So the £7.49 for half a metre. So you can either buy the bundle of all 7 in the range of half a metre of each, or if there's only just one that you like, that you've got your eye on, that you think, oh, that'd be really nice or something, you can buy it by the half metre. Now, the way that this works is if you want more than half a metre, we do cut fabric to order. So if you think, oh, well, I really would like to make a little blouse with that and I need 1.5 metres, put 3 units in your basket and you will it will be cut to your order and you will get it as a continuous piece. You won't get 3 half metres, if you see what I mean. So this is the same. It's got a really lovely pillar box red background and all the different design elements, the clock and necklace, bag, there's a little fan, ties. So it's perfect. If you've got a little design where you think, you know, how sometimes it's nice to have these pictorial prints because you can really use the different elements of them. It's perfect for that. It'd make a really lovely wash bag or a cosmetic bag because it's got all of those elements on it. Be really nice for a wash bag because you've got all these little all the little shells with, I mean, there's some of them are like there are pots and vases and stuff, but it is quite things like, you know, all the little bottles of perfume. Or actually a cosmetic bag would be really nice, or because it's got the toothbrush, maybe you know, a wash bag to put your toothbrushes in as well. But it would be really useful for that sort of thing. But you know, it's just a lovely fabric, isn't it? I like that one. So that's the red version. Right, now we've got, oh, I like this one. This one, next one is very French. Not the poo, and this one that's got bicycles and town and houses on it. Does feel very French. Let me get this one. Look at that. So you've got the sort of the black and white graphic outlines of buildings, which and maybe that's why it feels so French. Just give it a little flatten out. Then you've got all the colours. So you've got, it's nice because they've just used a limited colour palette. You've got red and blue, and then the black and white. And then you've got, you know, got somebody on a bicycle who's just hit the lamppost. There's a little poodle. That lady's in the bath. I think she's reading a letter. Maybe she's reading a love letter because she's French. And then you've got a couple here having dinner. And then there's that lady. Let me show you that one. The lady there with a bunch of flowers. This one's lovely, isn't it? The man and the lady with their suitcases. They're obviously honeymooning. I think he's just about to propose to her because he's got his bunch of flowers. Maybe he's given the oh no, the poodle belongs to her because she's French. All the French have poodles, don't they? Feels like that. But that's really lovely, isn't it? So it's a really nice pictorial fabric, which is brilliant for dressmaking. It's really unusual, isn't it? If you were making just a little blouse or the skirt section of a dress, it would look really nice. But again, because it's in linear stripes, it's very good for stripes or borders. If you're making a quilt that's got these sort of colours on, you could use them in the border prints. So it's available by the half metre, £7.49 for half metre. Or if you want to buy it in the bundle, there are 7 in the bundle. This is one of them. But it's really nice, isn't it? I mean, it's your normal quilting weight fabric. It's 44 inches, 112 centimetres wide. And Michael Miller, I mean, if you know Michael Miller, it's fantastic quality, isn't it? So we've also got exactly the same, but in red. Let me just fold that one up. But it's nice, isn't it, that they've kept this as sort of quite a small collection. Really sort of chosen the fabrics that go together. And remember that obviously, because this is a collection of fabric, all the colours go together. There is a palette, so whichever you put together, if you're thinking, I really would like to make a red and white quilt, all the colours in here and the prints, they all go together. I've got some other spotty fabrics I'll show you in a minute, and the reds are exactly the same colour. So this is the same, but it looks completely different, doesn't it? Like the lady in the bath with the bubbles now. In the other one they were blue, these bubbles are all red. It's very pillar box red, I think. But there's a little bit of pink as well. The lady's got a pink skirt. Actually, I was just looking at the white one. There is a bit of pink in this one, I've just noticed as well. So what's quite nice is so that in the red one, like the lady's dress is all pink, but in here you've got just a little pink on the towel and a pink on the basket. So they have picked up the palette throughout, but they just use some colours more on others. That's lovely, isn't it? But I really like that one. Lovely red background. Now let's do poodles. 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 Spotty poodles. Is it called oodles or poodles? Or is that just your name, Cat? Orders of poodles. Puppy. But it's lovely. It's very French, isn't it? You've got these big red spots on it, and then these just the graphic black and white poodles. But remember that all the collection goes together. That the red, which is very specific red, is on all of it. Even the poodles got little red bows on. But it's just a really, I think it's really unusual. We see a lot of fabrics that you feel like, oh yes, you know, it's nice to see all the different florals and prints. But this is a really unusual collection. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. But I really like it. I think it's one of those fabrics that's worth having in your stash, because if you want small elements of it and you want to just pick those out, or maybe you're making a very simple bag and you just want to line it but put something a little bit fun in it. This is, you know, just got a little bit of humour in the fabric. And then finally, the last two fabrics that are in this collection are your sort of your filler fabrics that are the spots. So quite often in a collection you'll have different weights of print. So you'll have a large print, you'll have a small print and a medium print, and then you'll have the sort of the base fabrics, which are often plain or with a bit of texture. But this is lovely because it's a spot. But if you look at it, it's not a regular spot, which makes it a lot easier. You know, when you're cutting fabric and you think, oh, I've got to cut across the spots. These spots are very, very random. They're not in rows at all. They just seem to be just dropped onto the fabric. But again, as you can see, it is the red that is in all of the fabrics. It's exactly that red. So it goes beautifully. There are so many different shades of red, it's often hard to match them up. But with this one, you know that all the red in all the fabrics is exactly the same. So the spot is in the red. And also, so the final one of the 7 in the collection, which is in the bundle, is the black. This would make a beautiful dress. I'm thinking summer dress. I like summer dresses in black, but with the red spot, it really lifts it, doesn't it? So if you want to buy it by the ½ metre and you want 3.5 metres because you're going to make a dress, put 7 units in your basket and then you've got your 3.5 metres. And it is beautiful quality, and it is, although it is quilting weight, it is very good for dressmaking because it's very soft. It drapes, as you can see, it drapes really, really well, and it is very, very soft. Lovely. But you could even make a men's shirt out of that, couldn't you? It looks. So if you want the whole collection of all 7 fabrics, ½ metre of each of them, that's on the screen at the moment, £51.99, and you will get ½ metre all of them. And you know, because they are from one collection, all the designs go together and all the colourways go together. I think I folded this one badly. Let's put that one back together again. Yeah, I'll have to put that one away because I folded it together badly. There we go. And then this one. So we have now got less than 10 available of this beautiful fat quarter bundle. If you want to have a closer look, fat quarter, ½ metre, it's not a fat quarter bundle. At any point, it's a ½ metre bundle. If you want to have a closer look at any of the fabrics, if you scroll down on the website, you will see all of them, so you can see them better. Or if you want to see, you know, if you just want one of them, remember they are available by the ½ metre as well. So £51.99 for the whole 7 ½ metre bundles. Fantastic. Very nice. So if you want to buy some plain fabrics because you've got a little quilt in mind, or you want something to complement them, we've got a bundle here. Oh no, they're not a bundle. They're all individual. You'll have to bundle them yourself. Just buy all of them. So ½ metre each of, this is the black, just the normal plain black, which obviously £3.49 goes together beautifully. We're selling it by the ½ metre, £3.49, 100% cotton. It's Rose and Hubble. It's beautiful quality. It is our standard plain cotton fabric. We cut it to order. So if you want more than ½ metre, it's in ½ metre units. If you want 10 metres, you need to put 20 units in your basket. But obviously this coordinates beautifully with the Michael Miller range. We've also got Reid, £3.49 a metre. Let me just show you how that goes together. That really goes together very well, doesn't it? So if you're thinking, buying the plain fabrics just sometimes allows you to make your fabric go further. So if you're making a bigger project and you want to, maybe there are lots of areas of sashings and borders and stuff, because this is more it's cheaper. It's £3.49 a metre. It makes your designer fabric go a little bit further, but it is beautiful rose and hobble quality. Although it is our standard plain fabric, because we sell so much of it, we didn't want to buy something that was cheap or was too stiff or lesser quality or too thin, because otherwise you'd soon tell us, so it wouldn't be worth our while. So it is beautiful quality. And then finally we've got white, just white. I mean, like really bright, really white, just plain white fabric, £3.49. And obviously you can buy it in any quantity you want, because it will be cut to order. There we go. But, you know, or we've got lots of ½ metres, or lots of this plain fabric. If you have a look on the website, you can even pick up a pale blue that would look really nice with that collection as well. But they're all on the website. But those are the three we've picked out today that will go with the Michael Miller bundle. Right, staying with our little French theme, we have got, we call them French fat quarters. I really like this pack, which I'm going to open and try somehow to get it back together again. £9.99, and you get 5 fat quarters. Now what's lovely about this is this one, I'm going to open that so you can see them. This is a really, it's much heavier than a quilting weight, but you can obviously use it for quilting. It's a really sort of lovely linen type canvas, and everything is written on French in it. Une machine à coudre, un dessin couleur. So it's all that French. It's the French colours, isn't it? The sort of the black and the red. But it's lovely, isn't it? It's really nice, I think because it's got all the images are quite big on it. It's very good for fussy cutting. You can cut out all the little labels. And I love the lines of scissors, irons and scissors. But they're really nice. There's lots of different images. That's just one of the fat quarters. I'm going to take out the print. I mean, this works out as £2 a fat quarter, which is amazing. So this is a very natural linen background, and it's just got lots of different French words and themes on. There's like stamps and signatures and different emblems, but just has that lovely French feel. So this is a really lovely thing to make a smaller project with. But what's nice in this pack as well, you've then got a spotty. So these are all neutral colours. You've got that lovely neutral colour with the white spot. Then you get calico, just a plain calico, but the lovely weight, it's heavier than your normal quilting weight thread, really lovely calico. And then you get a very lightweight sort of cream cotton fabric with this slight sort of seeded flex, almost a very, very lightweight. It's like the calico effect. So you've got 2 different weights of calico. You've got the spot, you've got the this lovely browny beige one, and then the black and red. So it's a really nice selection of fabrics. It's one of those things that you probably buy. You might have a project in mind for it, but really it's just a really useful thing to put in your stash. These 2 calicos are very good for embroidery, depending on the type of embroidery you're doing. If you're doing very fine embroidery with your stranded cotton, that's lovely. The thicker one, obviously you can use stranded cotton on, but good for crewel work as well. It's really nice. So if you want to make like a heavier weight, just, a little coin purse, it'd be perfect with that. And then use a pretty fabric for the lining. Very useful one to have in your stash, because I think you would be able to use it for lots and lots of different projects. And it's only £2 for a fat quarter, which is a bargain. It's a bargain. I'm getting better at folding these up. Well, I'd like to say that. Try and fold them back up. It's not very good, is it? There we are. Look, that's not bad, is it? I'm not going to get the ribbon back on, but we'll leave that there for now. Then we've got the red fat quarter pack. So in this one, we've got the lovely red print, red floral print. That's a really lovely linen weave as well. Then we've got beautiful ticking. You can't beat ticking, can you? Absolute classic. Really like ticking. And we've got, I'm going to go for the plainer fabric. Then we're going to put this red, so it's a plain, but what's lovely, it's the same as the red that's in the ticking. The red in the ticking looks lighter, but that's because it's got the white stripes in it, but actually the red is the same. Then you've got a narrower red and white stripe fabric. We get in there? And then we've got a red and white spot. So that's a really nice selection. Again, if you've got a project in mind where you think, oh, I need some extra red fabrics to make something, or if you just want a sort of a collection of beautiful linen weight fabrics in your stash, that's ideal. $14.99 for the 5 fat quarters. So if you're thinking about making a quilt, then you need to back it. Now there's a couple of ways of doing this. You can buy normal cotton quilting fabric and join it together, but that's a more expensive way of doing it. If you buy extra wide backing, I'm telling you that while I'm just folding these up badly. I don't know how people do this. Do you think it's a spatial awareness thing that I just don't possess? Because I'm not always very good at remembering how they go back together. But anyway, the easier way to back a quilt is to use an extra wide backing, because then you don't have to join it. Now we've got quite a good collection. So we've got 2 brand new ones. I really like these. These are both star fabrics. Now you can see them better. I'm going to show you this one. So these are, is it 208 in width? 274 centimetres at 108 width, 108 inches. So that's half of it. So that should looks like normal. This is the whole width of the fabric. That. And then that. And then that. Look at it. You can see, look how long it is. But you can see it's 274 centimetres. So that is perfect for, obviously, backing a quilt. Oh, Kat's going to come and hold the other end for me so that you can actually see what it looks like. It's got a lovely, soft ivory background. There we go. That's the whole thing. I'll move over a bit. Look. Keep going, keep going, keep going. There we go. There we go, all the way back again. Look how wide it is. Too wide for me to show. Thank you. So this is ideal, obviously, for backing a quilt, because it's so wide, it's going to fit even your Super King quilts. And it is ridiculous, isn't it? It's $8.99 for half a metre. And Hannah told me the other day why it's $8.99 for half a metre. When we first had extra wide backings on, she was allowed to set the price. And I think she got it wrong. And since then, they've all had to stay at $8.99. So, which is quite funny. I don't think they let her do it anymore. But it's a really lovely ivory background with white stars printed on it. So obviously it's ideal for your quilt backing because it's one piece. And at $8.99 for half a metre, that is ridiculously cheap because it's wider than twice normal quilting fabric. But it's wide enough for bed linen as well. So you could make sheets with it, duvet covers, extra pillowcases. It'd be really good to, it's quilting weight, it's not curtain weight, but you could use it for a curtain lining. Oh, it's called gold. It's not gold. It's a cream. It's cream with white stars, not gold at all. It's definitely cream. I don't know why they've called it gold. So I'm going to keep that in there so you can see what the print looks like. The next one is white. So I don't know whether you can see this or not, but it has got the same white stars. So it's white with white stars on it. When you get it home and you see it, you'll be able to see the white stars because they are very subtle because it's on white. Actually, if you'll be able to see it better if I unfold it, actually. It's because it's folded up, the stars disappear. But if we put it against, there you go. Now I've put it against the desk, you can see it much better. But isn't that lovely? So ideal for, maybe you want to make lots of cushions, or maybe you're making things for a fete or a charity or a stall, and you need to make lots of little bags, or you're making cushions. It'd be perfect for pyjamas. It's a very, very soft cotton. So a whole pyjama set, make a dress from it, because we're selling it by the ½ metre. Again, we cut to order. So if you want 2 metres of it, put 4 units in your basket. It's incredibly good value for money. It is 100% cotton, 100% cotton, and it is beautiful, really beautiful. And the fact that it's so wide, or maybe you're thinking, do you know what, I want some lightweight summer curtains. If you've got, say, like full length, like patio doors, or, you know, in your kitchen or in your dining room, and you want to just put some sort of lightweight curtains. You don't want net curtains, but you just want, you know, some lightweight drapes just to dress the window or keep the light out. This would be ideal, because the stars would just show. Now, we have only got 9 metres of this one left, because it's brand new in today. I mean, it is beautiful. But we do have 2 other star backings. Oh, where are they? So although they're the extra wide, remember, it's still the same thing. We cut them to order and we sell by the ½ metre, even though they're extra wide. They're not in cut pieces. So maybe you're doing flower of the month and you want to back it. That'd be ideal for it. So those are those 2. Those are the brand new ones. Now I have got some more extra wide quilt backings here. So now we've talked through how brilliant they are, all the different things. We've got 2 more star ones. So there's this one, which has got the cream background, and it's got little white stars on it. Again, it will show better. It isn't gold. I don't know why they say it's on gold. So it is. Let me show you. If I open it out and put it actually on the desk, you can then you can see it much better. It really is it's a pale ivory, actually, with white stars. I think they've called it gold to sort of change it, make it different to the white, but it really isn't. It's a pale ivory with a little star effect. Girls' summer dresses, it'd be ideal for that, wouldn't it? Even bridesmaids' dresses. If you wanted to have something lightweight. When I got married, I used curtain fabric to make my wedding dress. Looked amazing. But, you know, or maybe you wanted to put wedding favours on the tables, you know, those little sort of drawstring bags, and you need a lot of fabric. Because this is so wide, you will get so much out of it. And then the final star one is white. Is that one called silver then? That's odd. So this one is a white background, and I have to unfold it again. Unfold it so you can see, because it's the only way to see the stars is to unfold it and show you. There we go. So now you can see that's a white background. So if I lay it against the cream, you can see it's not a massive difference, is it? It really is just an ivory and a white. But ideal for quilt backing, but loads of other things too. You know, I'm saying it doesn't matter that it's called backing, it's just extra wide, pure cotton fabric. But it would look really, instead of having those net curtains, this would look beautiful. It's, you know, for the price of it, because you need quite a lot. For just that sort of lovely, now the sun is starting to come out, it'd be ideal to have some really lightweight drapes against your windows. Remember, have a look on the website when you work out your calculations, if you want to do that, to see what the exact width is and then how much you need, and then we will cut it to order, so you will get it as one whole piece. 2 more back, 3, in fact there's 4 there. This one, let's do this one. This is a Michael Miller backing fabric, so if you want something a little bit more special, this one, I'm only going to show you that section of it. So this is £12.99, Michael Miller backing fabric. So this is your designer brand backing fabric. Again, it's that same lovely wide width, but it's got all these black and white, different like little bits of receipts and envelopes and stamps. There's even some bills here. So again, you can use it to back your quilt if you want it to be more interesting. Perfect for bed linen because it's wide enough to make your double duvet cover or sheets or extra pillowcases. If you want to make some curtains with some lightweight, just drapey curtains, this is so unusual, isn't it? We only have 10 meters left of this one, but it's not often that you see something like this that's a real sort of designer brand fabric at this width. That's a lovely one. So remember, it is cut to order. If you want all the 10 meters, put 20 in your basket in the units and you can have all of them. Got 3 more extra wide backing fabrics here. They're all the same print, but in different colours. I'm going to show you the blue one because I think the print shows up best on this one. Yeah. So on here, you've got a real mottled colour background. It's not just one colour. And then you've got these leafy prints. You've got a pale leaf and then a darker leaf. But it's lovely, isn't it? Because it's not just solid plain. It's only £8.99. Now this is a heavier weight. It's got more sort of sizing in it than those two, than all the sort of white and the cream stars. It is slightly heavier. But it's beautiful for bag making cushion. If you want to make, you're thinking I've got quite a few that I need to make. Maybe you want to make a whole load of new blue cushions to put on your bed or your sofa, or you want to cover the chairs in your kitchen, or you're thinking, do you know what, my outdoor furniture needs new cushions. It's looking a bit tired and the sun was out this weekend. That's exactly what I was thinking. This would be ideal for it. Because it's so wide, you will get a lot out of it. Or maybe you've got a bench cushion you're thinking for the caravan that really needs recovering. This would be ideal because it's so wide. Sometimes, these really long benches, it's very difficult to find something to cover the cushions for. And it's so vibrant. It's a real lovely, strong royal blue. And I like the sort of all over leaf texture. Again, you could use it in patchwork and quilting though and cut it up because you get more for your money because of it being extra wide. So that's the blue. Oh, you can't have the charcoal because that's already sold out. So I'll put that one over there. But we've also got it in a cream, which is shades of sort of, it's shades of lemon and cream. And yeah, Paul keeps telling me, go right, go right, go right. There we go. You've got taupe coloured leaves and white ones, and then the background is shades of sort of lemon and white. So depending on what it is you want to make, we've got, well, you can't have the charcoal because that one's gone, but these are a really lovely weight. Slightly heavier, I think, than the white and the cream ones, but still 100% quilting weight cotton. So extra wide backing, remember, it is always better value for money. You get more for your money than if you buy the normal quilting width fabric. So which one should we do next, Kat? Oh, this one here. This is another one. Carrying on the Michael Miller theme. Now we've only got these fabrics called Ink Unleashed as the bundle. Half a metre, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 metres in total, £44.89. Remember, this all comes from one collection. So all the colours go together, which is always useful to know. If you've got something in mind or you think, oh, I want to make something of those colours, I'll open one of them to have a look. Look at that. It's like brush strokes, isn't it? I mean, that's just on its own, that's a lovely cushion, isn't it? You wouldn't have to do anything with that. You just cut it into a square, make it into a cushion. That's beautiful, isn't it? Just really bright and fun. That's a real rainbow, but it is like hand brush strokes, each one. Then the next one in the half metre bundle, similar idea, but in stripes. Again, I'm sure you're watching this and thinking, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to make with that. Or I just love that. It is very different. I like the fact that it's so linear. So you can cut it horizontally, vertically, or you can cut it on the diagonal, make the most amazing bias binding. If you cut it all on the diagonal, we've done quite a few tutorials, and if you have a look online, you can see how you can cut half a metre, and you can make it, I think, about 5 metres or more, can't remember, of bias binding. Now, if you like these and you would like to buy them by the ½ metre, they are on the website. There we go. £7.49. But a shirt, you know, you think some of those designer men's shirts, they would be made in that print, the one that's on screen at the moment, or in the one that I've just shown you. We've also got another one that's got all circles on it. Another one with circles. That looks like paint pots, doesn't it? Paint pot lids. But just I really like this. Just different to something you normally see. It's very handprinted. I mean, you can tell this is a designer fabric. And Michael Miller fabric, it's a shame you can't feel it, but it is so soft and it's got a really nice drape on it too. It's a very colourful day, isn't it? It's all the fun. It's all the fun. That's why I'm wearing my colourful jumper. Because it's fun colour day. It's Bank Holiday Monday. I like that one. Now this has got the same colour palette as the circle one. Let me put it next to it so you can see. Same colour palette. Really lovely sort of olive and coral, lime grey, deep midnight navy. You've got pale pink, brown, really unusual choice of colours, but they really go together. And I always say to people, if you're not sure about what colours go together, just pick up a fabric that you see, because you can see from this all those colours go together really well. So if you've got other colours in your stash, you can add it to those. Just pick out a couple of them and you know they'll go together. So you can buy it in the bundle that's the £44.89 for all 6 fabrics, ½ metre of each, that's 3 metres in total. Or if you go on the website, they are also available by the ½ metre. So because we cut to order, you can have as much or as little as you like. This is the same colour palette again. You can see it coming through, can't you? But it's very designer. Just a very simple, you know, that you could use it in your patchwork and quilt, obviously in dressmaking. But if you just wanted to create a whole new feel to one of the rooms in your house, maybe cover your chairs, or you want some new cushions. Oh, the bundle's now sold out. I was going to say you could buy the whole bundle and then you could make cushions in all of them. So if you've bought it, that's what I would do. Right, just fold that one up. We've got 2 more Michael Miller fabrics. Now we're on our Michael Miller 3 theme called City Hopper. These are lovely. Aren't they really lovely? Let me show you. So it's just all covered in houses, but with a blue background. We've got 2 of them. One's blue, one's orange. The one on the screen at the moment is blue. Their outlines are very sepia. They're like a dark brown, not black. And it's just lots and lots of little houses and lampposts and gates. But they would look lovely to embroider on top of these as well. Kat was saying she wanted to put one in a hoop and just embroider her house number on it. Lovely if you wanted to make a gift for somebody who's just moved house. Little notebook cover or a little bag or a tote bag. ½ metre's enough for a tote bag. And then you could maybe make the handles or the lining, if you picked out the blue in here, it would look really lovely. So that's £7.49 for ½ metre, and we've only got 8 metres left of that, so do get that if you want it. But we've also got, it's exactly the same print, so if you prefer the orange or you think, oh, I'd like both of them, because they do go together really well, there's the same fabric, but in orange. So look at it, see the brown is exactly the same background colour, but it looks completely different with the orange. But you could put them together, or they're just really a nice thing if you've got something in mind. I love the little houses. Again, some of them are very separate. There is, I need to turn him round. Yeah, look. There's a little cottage there. So if you like doing fussy cutting and you like little images, there's lots of small pieces that you can take out of it. There's little cottages and little houses. Also, what's great about it is it's multi-directional. You haven't got all the houses going the same way. If you look at it, some houses go one way, some are upside down, they go sideways, they go crossways. So it works really well. It just makes sometimes cutting fabric a lot easier. Now, we have had so far over 200 entries to our egg competition today. So if you do want to get involved, you need to email not Facebook, email. You need to email us on studio@sewingstreet.com, and you have to tell us where the egg was in the studio on Friday, Saturday, Sunday and today. Then you will be put in the prize draw to win those 100 half meters of fabric in all sorts of colours. Spot the egg. But you've got to see where it is. Right, very, very quickly. I've got 5 minutes. These fabrics are beautiful. So these are all available by the half metre. There's the whole collection, so you can see all of it. There we go. That's the whole collection. These are linen. What's the actual composition, Kat? They're stuff. 55% linen, 45% cotton. I think they are 150 wide. They're super wide. Look at that. £5.99 for half a metre linen cotton mix. I'm thinking outdoor furniture. But they are very French shabby chic, aren't they? If you want to add a little bit of a touch of elegance to your home, these are perfect. If you want to recover something, do you know, but they are perfect for dressmaking as well, just saying, because they're that linen cotton mix. They won't crease as much as pure linen, but they are beautiful. So we've got the grey with the background colour is like a very creamy, yeah, so the background is warm grey, but the stars, let me show you this one. You can see that's the colour of it's in reverse, the negative of that one. It's a very sort of natural linen colour. So those two go there. Really good for interiors for baby rooms. A lot of people, we found that a lot of things that we sell now for the babies, even like on Yarn Lane when we do baby knitwear, it's the neutral colours that are the most popular. So maybe you want to make a cover for a basket to put the nappies in, or you want a changing bag, or you want to cover something like the changing mat, or all those little sort of boxes and bags and things that you have in the nursery, or even curtains because of the weight of them. Because it's that neutral, it's really in at the moment. So that's those two. We've got same, but in red, and it's that real French red. Could be Christmas. Could be Christmas, couldn't it? Or it could be just very lovely French red. It's £5.99 for half a metre, 55% linen, 45% cotton. And remember, it's 150 centimetres wide. So maybe you are thinking of getting ahead for Christmas, because we've also got it in its negative colourway. Isn't that lovely? I know it's Easter Bank Holiday Monday. It is very French red, but it can also, you know, it can also be, if you are thinking about that. It's beautiful, isn't it? Very good for wrapping presents in. But it is, I mean, it is better than, it's better for your creasage than pure linen. So there's the red with the star, and then the background, which is a neutrally sort of linen cream colour. There's those two. We've got this, these fabrics are all the same weight and all the same composition. Check. Complete a check. But they do go together. I really like the mixture of, let me put them together to show you. I love the mixture of checks and stars. Don't they go together well? So any of those reds, or the creams or the checks, they go beautifully together. Wouldn't that make the most fantastic quilt? Any pattern, because these are all multi-directional, even with, you know, the checks, you make a beautiful quilt. Or, you know, you think of the applique heads that Delphines do, would look lovely. Or maybe you just want to revamp, you want to revamp your lounge. You think I need a load of new cushions. You could buy just half a metre of all of these. You've got loads. Love the check. Would look really nice leather, make a really nice bag. Lovely bag. And then there's two more, very, very, very quickly, because I'm running out of time. These are very French. We have got, it's got pink roses and lots of French words all over it. Mon amour pour toujours, my love for always. It is all French. It's all French. Oh, les roses sont rouges, the roses are red. You will always be my angel. It's you that's the reason forever. My heart never stops. Oh, that's so lovely. And then we've got exactly the same fabric with the same flowers and the same French words, but that's got the grey roses. But all of those fabrics go together beautifully. So you're thinking of making, like, you know, that kind of neutral type of quilt with red and white and the lovely French red as well, that deep red. This is perfect. £5.99, half a metre, 150 centimetres wide. Right, we've got to go because we've got Jules coming on with the Be Happy Applique, complete and utter Bondaweb masterclass if you've never used it before, and how to make this Be Happy hanger. So I will see you back here in just a couple of minutes. Oh, I'm not gone yet. I haven't gone. I thought I was going, but I will. Don't forget. Sorry, I forgot to say, you don't forget to send your answers in for the Spot the Egg competition, because otherwise you won't be able to spot the egg or win the prize. Fantastic, isn't it? We are ready. So we had a slight glitch there. We will see you back in just a couple of minutes when Jules will be back on.
Hi, my name's Jules Mayouf and I'm really excited to be a guest designer on Sewing Street. Okay, I got into sewing through my grandma. I used to sit and watch her. She was a dressmaker, and I started off making toys, and then I was dressmaking myself, and from then I've done homeware and children's wear and all sorts of different things in between. I would say my top tip is to be kind to yourself. It's only fabric at the end of the day, and if things do go wrong, then you've always got your quick unpick. My claim to fame is that in 2012 I was a VIP driver with the Olympics, and I met some really interesting people who were very nice, and I'm hoping that I'll meet some very interesting and nice people on Sewing Street too.
Have you heard about all of the different ways you can shop with Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? You can either shop on our websites sewingstreet.com and yarnlane.com. You can also order by phone by calling our friendly UK customer service team. For Sewing Street, call 0800 001 4433, and for Yarn Lane, call 0800 4700 600. And don't forget about the Sewing Street app. Here you can shop all of the Sewing Street products as well as watch the live shows from anywhere. You can download the app onto your smartphone or your tablet by simply searching Sewing Street in your app store. And one final thing, no matter how many times you check out on Sewing Street or Yarn Lane in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. Happy shopping!
Are you a fan of Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? Why not join our growing Facebook fans pages? Just search Sewing Street Fans and Yarn Lane TV Fans on Facebook and click Join Group. It's that simple. Never miss out on the latest news and updates from our presenters and guest designers, special offers and plenty of chat with your fellow fans. Share photos of your makes, ask for advice, interact with your favourite guests and presenters, and be a part of the ever-growing sewing and yarn community. See you there!
If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live show and send in any messages or any questions, then you can do it on studio@sewingstreet.com. Alternatively, you can message us on our official Facebook page.
Keep up to date with what's on Sewing Street and Yarn Lane, as well as all the latest news and special offers by signing up to our email newsletters. For Sewing Street, head on over to www.sewingstreet.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and you're done. It's exactly the same for Yarn Lane. Head on over to www.yarnlane.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and that's it. You are now subscribed to both Sewing Street's and Yarn Lane's email newsletters, so you'll never miss out on the latest news and special offers ever again.
And welcome back to Sewing Street for our Be Happy and How to Use Bondweb. Don't worry, be happy, the spring is coming, honest. It might be a little bit cold today, but the spring is coming. So this is a really lovely little wall hanging. Actually, just looking at it, you could put it in the centre of a table as well. It's just a nice little size for that little mat. Just hang it up. You could put it on your front door. Cheer up the postman maybe. Be happy. Anyway, it all comes from this book called Say It with Quilted Skinnies. All ready for selling on pre-order. 8 clever wall quilts to personalise your home. So you need the book to be able to make the Be Happy hanging. But it's only £10.99 and you've got 8 designs in it. So you've got all of the sort of the basic information of how to use Bondweb, general instructions of binding, and then you move straight into the projects. So you could make a few of these because they're all the same size. I presume they're all the same size. Oh, they are, yeah. So, but you could make one of these and have a specific place in your home that you're going to hang them up and just keep changing them all the time. I love the farmer's market one. And it's great because it uses quite small pieces of fabric. So there's lots that you'd have in your stash. And all of the templates for all of them are in the book as well. Look, there's all the templates. Because the text is lovely. It's a really nice font, isn't it? That's the farmer's market. Then we've got Kiss the Cook. That's very important, isn't it? Always kiss the cook. So maybe you could hang them in your kitchen. Love that one. And again, it is all those little pieces of fabric. They've done a lot of quilting on here. You don't have to do as much as that. It's up to you. But all of the applique templates are in the book. Rise Up. That's a nice hot air balloon one. But that'd be lovely for a bedroom, wouldn't it? Nursery. Be ideal for that. You know, if you're thinking you want to make a gift for someone and you're not really sure what to give them, you could, if you're working from home, you could hang this behind you. Just keep making them. People go, what's she got today? Let Freedom Ring. That's quite an American one. Let Freedom Ring. But there you go. Oh, these are the templates. So look, you can see, and not only are they all to scale, they're all backwards because you need them backwards to trace for applique, which is great. Because quite often when you see the templates, they're not backwards. There's Be Happy. That's the one that we're, oh, just dropped the cushion, 1 minute. This is the one that we're going to be doing today. Be Happy. Oh look, they've used a lovely little bee print on that one. There's ours. See? Beautiful, isn't it? But, you know, Be Happy, that you could have that in any room in the house. That does anything, doesn't it? There's the templates for it. So you've got all the templates to trace, and then you've got the cut-out ones there, which is amazing. For £10.99, you're getting a lot in here. Wash and dry. I like this one. But they've also, you know, you don't have to make the hanging, so there's lots of the templates. I love the little bits of clothes. And on this one, look, they've put miniature pegs. So you could just make them for every room in the house as well. But there's the templates for those. I like them. More templates. And is that, oh no, it's the final one. It's not the final one. Sweet Dreams. Isn't that gorgeous? That's a lovely gift for a new baby. But you can make loads of them. Make for all different people. There's so much inspiration. Or you could mix and match them together. And then this one. How about that one? That one is my favourite. Create. That's for your sewing room, isn't it? So that one's the other way round. Or you could use that as your sewing mat. You could put your sewing machine on that. No, not your cutting mat, your sewing mat. But it's got spools of thread, it's got the words, the scissors. But because it's got the templates, if you wanted the template for a pair of scissors, I really like that. And they put some buttons on. But that would be ideal for your sewing mat or hang in your sewing room. So in there, that's the whole book. 8 clever wall quilts to personalise your home. And it's all using Bondweb, which Jules is going to show us through. So now I've got 2 fabric packs. Let me put it on this little stand. To make the Be Happy. So in the fabric pack, you get 3 fat quarters. 3 fat quarters. You've got a green spot, a blue spot, and a goldy yellow spot. 3 fat quarters. You get ½ metre of black, 1.5 metres of white. So I presume that's for the front and the back, and 2 meters of red. What is the red for the back?
I use the red on the back.
Okay.
But I think it's so that you can, if you want to make more out of the
Right.
project book, you've
It's
got
so
plenty to do.
There's a lot here, so that if you want to make more out of the project book, that you can. So $32.99, and there's enough there, and you can choose whether you put red on the back or white on the back, and then you've got all the fat quarters to make the flowers with, and then you've got black for the lettering and the bees. So that's that bundle that's called the red one. Now we've also got similar but not the same in blue. So you've got the flowers, so the spot fabric that you use for the flowers is in green and red and a goldy yellow, the fat quarter of each of those. You've got 1 metre of the black that's used for all the lettering and the bees. You've got 1.5 meters of the white that's used for the background, and then you've got 2 meters of the pale blue that can be used for the binding and the back. And you can use that for the flowers, but there's loads here. There's more than you need here to make the hanging, but it's because you've got need the book as well. You have to buy the book separately. It's not in this bundle, but there's more than enough so you can make extra projects from the book too, which is lovely, because I think once you've made one, you'd really want to make another one. You've made me start off with the Be Happy, and you think, well, I quite like that Sweet Dreams one, and I'm going to do the Create one from a sewing mat. And because all the applique pieces in all of the projects are quite small, so you can use fabrics from your stash, but in this fabric bundle, you've then got enough to do lots of the sort of the binding and the lettering and the background as well. And you'll have quite a bit of the spotty left over. I think if I was going to make them, I really like the Be Happy. It's very spring, but I do like that Create one. I think that's really nice. Okay, but you could do quite a few of them using that bundle as well. So good morning, Jules.
Good morning.
Good morning, and how was Be Happy?
Yes, it was very happy. I love the font on this one. It's
do.
really jolly, isn't it? Yeah.
It's not like, it's hand drawn, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not typed out.
No.
It's because it's sort of a bit
kind of swirly.
It's swirly, but then it's not also in set rows either.
No. Well, you kind of plan it out, so it is a planned out, but it doesn't look like a planned out.
Yes.
And I quite like that, where you
It
know,
is. I'm not very good at random.
No.
I would need that to be planned for me, but it looks like it's not.
Yeah. You have got a map. We'll go through that in a bit, but it was quite nice because you've got your applique on there, and you've got your a little bit of hand sewing if you want, a little bit of free motion if you want. There's all sorts of bits and bobs you can put on there, and like as you were saying before, you can add in your buttons, you can add in all sorts. I mean, if you wanted to do,
that's true.
We've had metallic thread on before, haven't we? You could do that on the wings, because the wings are actually white.
Yes,
on
they're
white,
sort of just
and you
quilted,
think,
aren't they?
oh. But if you could also put, and do like trapunto stuff where you can stuff the wings underneath.
Yeah, that would be nice. And yes, some silvery thread as well.
Yeah.
Because we have got buttons. We've got ladybirds and bees.
See, they'd go quite nicely on the flowers.
They would, wouldn't they? I love the bee buttons. Let's have a look at the bees in their packet. Aren't they lovely? Little bees. You get 12 little bees, $2.99, but they'd be ideal to sew all over that.
Yeah.
You can have them buzzing round the end, round the flowers.
A swarm.
Or a whole swarm of them all over the lettering. And we've also got ladybirds. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ladybirds. There we go. $2.99 for a pack of 7 ladybirds, if you'd like those well. They just, I think it's nice to add embellishments. Like, it gives it that sort of 3D texture, doesn't it? So where do we start then?
So the first thing is all of the letters that are in there, as you say, they're all reversed. So if you're using a Bonder web, it's really straightforward process to actually get the right sort of size, and then you can match up your placement as well. I sometimes find it tricky when you have to enlarge, or you have to think about going the reverse way. You do 3 or 4 processes to do it all, but they're really straightforward to make. So as you say, once you've made one, you want to do quite a few more.
Because so they've got all the templates are here, but they're also in there as well.
Yeah, I didn't open the paper part about it. You can use that. You can kind of,
that's perforated, isn't it? So you can
easily
take that out.
But I found it really easy to take it from the book, so it's not a problem to actually draw onto the book. So what you'll want at the beginning, it tells you. So there's like a little recipe as to how many of each flower.
Just a bit better.
Sorry. Paul puts me in the right place and I'll go in the wrong. So there's a little recipe of what you'll want. If you want to do it in this sort of colourway, then it tells you how many flowers of each to cut out.
Right.
So just kind of plan it a little bit. So the thing about Bondaweb is that you're going to be drawing onto the Bondaweb, and then you're going to be putting the Bondaweb onto your fabric.
Okay.
So if you have got 4 flowers that are red, you don't want to be putting your 4 flowers on the Bondaweb all over the place. You want to put them all in the same place.
Right. So you save the Bondaweb.
Yeah. You'll have a sheet of Bondaweb. I've only got a little bit left, I'm afraid. But you'll have a sheet of Bondaweb. So just have a little think beforehand and have a look to see how many of each colour of whatever it is
so
you
maybe
want.
write it down or plan it, what you're going to cut from what colour.
I think that's easiest. And then it's as simple as just making sure there's a rough side to the Bondaweb and then there's a smooth side. You want to be drawing onto the smooth side.
Okay. So
if you pick your little template, and mine will have to be the small ones because I've only got the small bits left. So this is the centre of the flower. You just literally take a pencil and draw around the line that you've got. So I've got shiny side down, and just draw around your shape, whatever it might be, and it's, you know, whether it's the letter or whether it's the flower or whatever it might be. If you've got something like this on the leaf, I don't think I can get a leaf out of there, but I'll just give you an idea. So if you're going around this, can you see, I'm not sure if you can see, there's like a little dotted line. That dotted line, I would just draw it on top of your Bondaweb. That's your placement line.
Okay.
So when you're looking at your, not quite got enough, just about. When you're looking at your placement on the main bit, you'll see that you've got flowers going on top of each other and you've got little leaves going underneath. I don't know if you can see on there. So where you've got your little dotted lines, so on here, this is one of the big leaves and that fits in here. So this mimics the edge of the flower.
Oh, okay.
So if you dotted it on there, I know you're going to iron it onto the reverse and then you're going to peel this bit off, but it just means that you can then put it back on again onto your drawn bit.
So it just helps with placement then.
Yeah. So once you've drawn onto your fabric, onto your Bondaweb, so these are going to both be in yellow. That's going to be in a green. I haven't got a green, but supposing you had, that's my yellow. So I would just pop that onto the yellow and then put this bit onto the green. Okay. And you just iron it down. So we'll do an iron just so you can see how straightforward.
So paper side up on the wrong side of the fabric.
So where you've drawn, so I've had that onto my template, I've drawn onto it, and I'm just going to literally, I don't want to iron it because I don't want it to go all over the place or stretch any of the fabric. I just literally, I'm going to press it.
How long do you need to press it for?
20, 30 seconds, literally, as I'm doing here. Just be a bit careful on your lighter fabrics, so the white maybe, because if you leave it on too long, you're going to scorch your fabric.
Right, okay.
So just to be a little bit aware of that. And then once you've done that, it's stuck on there. The next thing that you'll do is you'll want to be cutting that out now. So you'll need to cut through the paper and the material. So you're cutting all the way through. So everything's all stuck together.
Can you just use like normal fabric scissors?
These, well, one of your older sets of fabric scissors, because you're going through a paper backing as well.
That's a tricky one then, isn't it? Paper and fabric, it's both.
It's another excuse for another pair of scissors.
Yeah, you have to have special Bondaweb scissors.
3 pairs of scissors. Yeah. That's why I've got, these are mine from home with my little...
Oh, okay, they're the
so I know I can use
Bondaweb scissors.
I actually do quite a lot of applique, you know. It's just, it's quite fun, I
do as well. I really like it. I think when I discovered Bondaweb, it was like a revelation.
Yeah.
Because suddenly I could get these amazing intricate shapes and lettering. That's how I think I started, it was lettering.
Yeah, and before you thought, how's that person done that?
Because you'd never be able to draw that. Even if you traced it, it's not the same.
No, I'm not a brilliant drawer anyway.
I use Bondaweb a lot though for just holding things in place.
Yeah.
before I sew them on as well.
Well, they used to have, I don't know if they still have, they used to have a little strip that you could use for hems.
Yes, a Wonder Web. So yeah, I
Yeah,
know what
you know what I mean. So I used to use it for that occasionally, even though I'm a sewer. So I would just leave them like that for the moment. I marked mine large and small, and I put all of those little numbers on here to tell you what and where they go. Once you've done it once, you don't really need the numbers, but it's
right to start
do it first
with,
of all, just so that you know
can
you're in the right
label it, which is quite useful, isn't it?
Yeah. So then the next thing that you want to do is take your backing fabric, which in this case is the white, and it's 14.5 by 28. I think, yes, 14 by 28 is your finished size. So it's 14.5 by 28.5.
Right.
And then what I did was I folded it in half and then half again. So I quartered it basically. And that then will give you a little bit of a reference. So if you have a look at the diagram in the book, you've got some red lines on here. You can always use a friction pen and put the lines on if you want to, but it's just handy to have some reference point to actually put all your letters and everything on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's just giving you a diagram, so you could, yeah, I think that's quite a good idea because they've put a cross down the centre so you can,
Yeah, so if
it gives you an idea from there, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you literally just fold your fabric,
Yeah, then it
it's fine.
helps with placement.
And then
Well, particularly with the letters, isn't it? So you can see like that P goes just on the line, that P goes just
one
above.
goes above and one's
Yeah,
below,
no, I think
isn't it?
that's a really good idea.
That haphazardness, obviously she's worked that out, hasn't she? So I'm always
Yeah.
in favour of going with what they've worked out so I don't have to myself. Have your ironing surface underneath if you can. So I did it at home. I did this on an ironing board because it's just about the right length for an ironing board. Because once you've placed it, you then just want to stick down your bonder web really, and it just makes it a lot easier. So all you'll do is just check out where everything is, pop on your kind of flowers.
So these would be ideal for it, these the quilters multi-mats, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Because that's just about the right size for it. So it's a cutting mat and an ironing mat and a marking mat as well, all in one, but that would be ideal for, well, just because it's movable, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and you may not have a space to put an ironing board up, or you may iron on the table or whatever.
Exactly.
So it depends how you've got things set up for your sewing. So prior to ironing everything down,
Should we open it?
You're a naughty girl. I didn't say yes, but yes.
Yeah, should we open it?
Yes,
Let's
go on
open
then.
it. Well,
It's
do you know,
Jules's
how
fault.
can you see something
Exactly.
in packaging? I want to know how big it is. Look at that. That's ideal, isn't it?
Yep, that'd be good.
Cutting mat.
And you've got the join in the middle to match your centre line.
Perfect. And then, oh, it's like sandpaper, so you can put fabric on it and it'll stay in
So
place.
it's like
Anti-skid.
design mat.
Yeah, design mat. So if you had like this, all your plique pieces, you could put them all on there and you wouldn't lose them. And then you can put that over.
That'd be quite good actually, because there are some tiddly ones in there.
Or to get an idea of layouts and a cutting mat. I'm like that.
That might be
Quilters
going home with
multi-mat.
Rebecca.
Yeah, might be going home with me. Well, now I've opened it.
Yeah.
No, I've opened it. It might be mine now. £16.49. Bargain.
That's good.
Anyway, moving on to replique. Got my
So-
contract there.
So all we're going to do is peel off the backing. Now this is, because it's such a small piece, it's actually peeled off quite easily. But if you find it tricky, you can score that with a pin just to help you peel off the backing. What you don't really want to be doing is fiddling around with the edges too much, because otherwise it starts to split the fabric. I know we're going to overcast it in some form, but you might not want to have done that.
So start from the middle then.
Yeah, and then just do your placement and literally iron it so it stays in place.
Okay, fantastic. So it's best
Alrighty.
to get, did you lay all the pieces out?
I did the whole design kind of shebang before I did anything else.
Just in case.
Yeah, so I'll show you how it looks, because I've kind of galloped.
Da-da-da. That's amazing.
Fast forward 10 minutes.
Look at that.
So that's
In
how it
those few
looks.
seconds, Jules has just cut out all.
Yeah,
It's like,
so
we're like in the
super
future.
speedy. So I've done all of the bottom bit. I've just got the B at the top because I thought you might want to see
Yeah,
where
we
it
do.
goes. So here, if you have a look on the cutting out, the applique bit, you've got some dotted lines. So the dotted lines are where things are going to go underneath. So I've got
yes. So, okay, that makes sense.
I've got my bee body.
So you can see what overlaps what then.
Yeah. I just placed it on there because I knew I'd be in a different position on here. So got the bee body, and then we're going to have our... This is already peeling off, saying what I was doing. That's the main kind of wing piece.
Oh, I see. So the wing is actually cut out then?
Yes. But it's obviously because it's white, it's
it
quite
doesn't
tricky
show up.
to
But
see.
if you want to sew round it, it gives you something to sew round.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see now.
And then you've got your little bee stripes as well. So if I...
You could use like a different fabric, couldn't you, that had a bit of a sparkle in it or something?
Yeah, or you could put like gold thread or something like that, bee thread on it, yeah. Bee thread. I think gold thread is, bee thread.
Bee thread, yes.
Yes,
just
for
look
me,
on the
gold
website
is
for
bee
bee thread. I'm not sure you'll find it.
Yeah.
But bee type thread. Thread ideal for bees' wings.
Yes.
So do all those stripes overlap each other as well?
So that goes onto there, and then there's a little dotted line where its head is. So that is going to go over the top. Kind of like that. And then we've got just two more wing bitties.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, yes, it looks odd, doesn't it? But because this is the trace in the book, that's why it's facing the other way.
And then, yes, because I couldn't get it in my head. This wing piece, I kept thinking, it's where?
Where is it?
It's there.
But luckily there's a picture.
Yes.
The right way round.
Yeah, we like pictures. So there we go. And actually maybe that's just going to come down a little bit. So don't forget, when you're doing this, you are going to be sewing your backing. So on this one, she does all of her all of her binding. Instead of what I would normally do with my quilts is sew it raw edge on the front and go to the back. She sews it back to the front.
Oh, I think that's more of an American thing.
Yes.
A lot of Americans do it that way round.
Yeah, I think so. And it took me a little while to kind of decide that whether I liked that or I didn't like that. And I think I'm not a favourite of it. I prefer the way that I normally do it because I normally do it that way.
Yeah, true.
I think
true.
that's the only reason why.
Yeah, no, but
it works.
I think that is more of an American method where they wrap it round to the front.
Okay, so even though I've got a couple of layers, you just need to make sure that those layers are sticking. I'm going to try not to go over the airbrush tail because that's in my fiction pen. It might just disappear.
Oh, because, yes, so they've
Bye.
got the antennae stitch lines.
Yes.
Yeah, no, all the instructions for that to binding are in the book as well, aren't they?
Yes.
So it's basically the same as the other way round because you're stitching it round. It's just whether you do it on the front or the back.
Well, actually, on this one, where I would normally slip stitch, I think that's what I normally slip stitch it because I'm not a great even sewer on the front. So I prefer to slip stitch it at the back, and I know that I've got all of my gubbins sorted out. I've tidied up the edges and everything. Whereas on this one, it doesn't. One thing she doesn't say is to trim. So I didn't trim because I follow the book religiously just to see. And she doesn't tell you to trim the edges or trim the corners. She tells you to mitre the corners, which is fine. But it was quite bulky. So you might want to, if you're going to do it how it says it in the book, you might want to just trim it back to your sewing line.
Okay, just so there's enough to get the binding round. Yeah. But she does say, to slip stitch the binding or zigzag it. So you can do it either.
I zigzagged mine. It's a 2 1/4 binding, so you could do a 2 1/2 and then you just have a little bit of extra room to wiggle.
Okay.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to sew around all of the applique pieces, but just a quick before that, I've got I thought I'd quickly go over the outline stitch again for your
little tail.
So
not
just
tail, whatever it's called.
The
it's not a tail.
fuzzy line.
Bees don't have tails.
They have stinkers.
The trail. It's a trail.
It's a trail, not a tail.
It's a trail. Betrayal.
So all I'm going to do is do a quick outline stitch, which is come up, go forwards,
Oh yeah, there's the trail, not the tail.
and then come back up halfway along. Have your thread at the top and create your stitch. So I've got, I don't know, three threads double here, and then go up again.
So use black stranded cotton Jules is using for that. That's on the
Yeah.
screen at the moment. £1.49 for one skein, 8 metres in a skein. How many, and you use strands in, 3 strands in that?
I used 3 strands and then I doubled it over. But you can use less if you want to. It depends on how big a...
And what stitch have you using?
I'm using outliner stitch. So this is where you go forward on a stitch, you create a stitch, and then you go halfway back. You leave your tail above your line of stitching and pull it through. And the reason I'm using this is because you can get your curves. Curves come
Yeah,
quite
that's true.
nicely
So that
with this.
bends nice around the curves, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
So you just want to, as I say, go forward, go back, and then take it around. So that you can use that for the antennae as well, or you can do it on the machine. If you wanted to do this on the machine, you could quite easily do it on the machine.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you could do it like a free motion
You
embroidery.
could, or you could pick one of your fancy stitches.
Mm.
You could do all sorts of things. Right, okay, so you've got the idea of that. So that's coming up nicely. That was that bit
Okay.
on there. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're just going to do some fastening down of our applique. So you'll notice I haven't put the backing on yet. So
Right.
at the moment I'm not quilting.
Okay.
I'm just
you're
literally appliquing.
embroidering.
Yeah, and you can choose what, as we said, what sort of stitch you fancy on there. I think I was going to do a zigzag. To have a look, because I didn't look to see what was. Oh, there's quite a lot of stitches on there. Maybe I'll do something different than a zigzag. No, I think we'll do a zigzag. Right.
So this is for attaching the flowers
And
and the
and
words.
the bit. So I did with mine. I decided that because I was doing it onto a white background, if I went onto the background, it didn't matter, and I'd quite like to have the white as a
Okay.
highlighter. But you can choose. So if
Yeah,
you
you can
wanted
see
to
a
do
close-up,
black, you could do
Yeah.
the black if you wanted to. But if you well, you could choose whatever colour you want. You could do coloured thread.
Well,
if
you can
wanted.
use
make
the
a
thread
feature
can
of
be
it.
the accent and be a feature, or use the
Yeah.
same colour, and then it doesn't stand out. It's up to you, really.
Yeah. So on this one, I've got a zigzag. I did blanket stitch on the original one,
Okay.
but all you're doing is you're just wanting to make sure that you seal that edge. So if you chose not to use bond web for whatever reason, this is really important to go around the edges, because otherwise you're gonna have lots
Yeah,
of
but
frays.
even with the bonder web, it'll come off eventually, won't it?
Yeah,
So you
depending
need
on
to-
how much you're kind of washing it and
Yeah.
stuff.
It'll start to peel off.
And that's kind of literally
So I
it.
suppose you could sew it on by hand if you,
You
wanted
could.
to.
Yeah. If you wanted to have this as a little evening project, you could do it.
Yeah.
There's quite a few curves on it. So, yes.
So you have
We've
to
chopped off the B, but never
Okay.
mind. There's
So
quite
you
a
have
few
to take it quite slow. I guess
Yeah.
if you keep pivoting every time you go around the curves,
and
it's all right.
concentrate and all that kind of stuff.
But yeah, like you say, if you wanted it to be an evening project where you could do it, sit in front of the TV, you could hand embroider it on with a blanket stitch or a running stitch.
That's enough for you seeing me not go around the curves very well. Yes. Well, you probably would do it a lot neater than that. I did do it a lot neater than that. But and that's really your kind of the main part of your project. So the next thing that you need to do is to prepare your binding. So if you cut your strips out, that is 2 1/4 strips that I've cut out, 2 1/4 width. But you can...
And did she tell you all of that?
Yeah, I I think I only used 2 strips to go around all of it, but I
Okay.
cut 3 just in case.
Right.
So I was thinking as well, what you could do, because I had some extra, is you could make some hanging loops
Oh,
to go at
okay.
the back.
Yeah.
So you would have enough.
If you want
well,
to put them on a
you'd
rod
have
or
enough
something.
anyway, because you've got quite a lot of material there. But so what you do is you have right sides together. If you've not made binding before, you'll have, that's the right side. So you're stitching right sides together as you always do. And that's the right side. I've left my selvage on, so the underneath one I'm not worried about. But the top one I'll just take the selvage off because you will see it. So what I'm going to do now is sew it from corner to corner. Now you can, if you want to, pop your, I had a friction pen. There we are. You can draw a straight line from there
Okay.
across there if you want to, just so that you know where you're going with it. And then literally what you're going to be doing is sewing across there, and then we can open it out and that'll be your binding strip.
Right.
So I'll sew that and show you.
And she does say how many strips, doesn't she? Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I can't remember that she says how many strips. She says how wide the
Well,
strips
no,
are.
I think what she says is refer to the general instructions. So I am, right, you have to go back
Are
to
you
a different
referring?
page. Just milk, please. They said, do you want a cup of tea? Do you want a cup of tea?
I'm all right.
No, Jules doesn't want a cup of tea, she's fine.
So once you've done that, you then press your binding in half.
Yeah, it does cut 3 2.5 quarter inch
3
strips.
She does say 3.
There you go.
I did 3. You don't need 3, but do 3 because she said.
Well, there's nothing worse, is there, than running
No.
out and you've got that much to go.
And
then
you
have to
can't join
undo
it.
and you can't join it. And you're thinking, it's ridiculous. You know that you're going to run out, but you think if you're so fast,
Yes.
you won't run out. But you do run out, then you have to unpick some stitches and join it back on. So
Where does that come from? Why do we think if
I
we
don't
go
know.
so fast and we'll get to
Also,
the
if
end
your
of it?
bobbin thread's running out,
Yes.
and if you sew really fast, it doesn't run out.
So
Yeah, that's true. It works with driving. The slower you drive with no petrol. Although I don't know, I think if you were driving it like really, really slow, that if it's inefficient. It's like when you're on the motorway, you think,
sorry,
How much
officer.
more was it
I
gonna
hadn't got
cost?
very much more petrol. Maybe try that. I don't know that they'll believe you. What's
I was
your
on the
local
motorway this
jail?
morning. There was these signs, 30. It went on
Oh.
for about 30 miles. Pedestrians on the motorway. I never
Oh.
saw anyone. I looked really carefully, didn't see one person. I thought,
Were you
what are they-
aiming for 'em?
I was thinking, it's like 4:30 in the morning. What are they doing on the motorway?
Yes. Have they been out last night?
Yeah, and got lost.
Maybe they lost their petrol.
But it went on for, it must have been about 30 miles with big, and it's like 30 pedestrians on motorway. Very odd.
Was it 30 pedestrians or?
I don't know. I
30.
don't know. I never saw even one, let alone 30 of them. I think, what are they doing on the motorway? Didn't see
It
them.
really does annoy me because you just think there's no need for it. At 4 o'clock in the morning.
Why are you
there's
on the motorway?
Absolutely no need for it.
And also,
I'm just going to get you anyway.
nobody was going at 30 either. Well, there weren't many
No.
people on the motorway at that time, but nobody was going 30. And where the pedestrians were, I have no idea.
Lorries won't have it anyway. They're just
They were just like, "Rrr."
if it takes me longer to power down and power back up again, I'm not going to bother.
And I had no idea what they were doing on the motorway. And then there's this other sign I keep seeing that just says Red Cross. No idea what that means.
Written Red Cross or a Red Cross on there.
It means what? Oh, it means don't go in that lane. I wondered what that meant. I keep seeing it. It says, but
Oh,
it just
that
says,
sort of Red Cross.
no,
I know
it
what
says
that.
red and then X, red X.
Oh
It
no,
says
word.
red X. Yeah, there's not a red cross. No, it's not that, not
No,
that
she-
lane.
No, she
It's-
knows that one.
But you know, you get all those signs that say like "stay safe" and "stay at home" and all of that. This one
Yeah.
that's red X. Don't know what that is. Never hit one of those either.
So you'll have. So you'll make your sandwich now. So you make your quilting sandwich, or a start of it.
And what have you got on there?
So
What
I've
sort of
got,
wadding?
this is quite goofy wadding. This is,
Goofy?
yeah, I'm not quite sure what this is because it's polyester. I don't know whether
That's
it's
a
a craft.
4 ounce, that is.
Yeah.
That's a very thick wadding.
It's not the craft wadding, definitely not craft wadding. What I used,
What I would like to
which
use.
is what you is H640.
Oh, the nice iron-on stuff.
Yes, I was given 80/20, but I just thought it's a shame to use 80/20.
What a waste.
Yeah, and also I was being a bit lazy, and it's easier to use H640.
No, I agree with you.
I'm
I think
afraid.
on small projects, I prefer the fusible wadding.
Yeah.
Because it's just easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And on the bigger projects, I'll use the lovely 80/20 cotton wadding. Although
Yeah.
it does look nice on those. It's
It
the
does.
fusible.
Yeah, but I find it better in my machine because my machine is just not happy at the minute. It knows it's on its way to somewhere else and not.
Is it
yeah.
going to the Rainbow, over the Rainbow Bridge?
No,
the
it's
sewing
going
machine
to
Rainbow Bridge.
It's going to my daughter because my daughter wants to learn to sew. So when she told me she wanted to take it to uni, I went,
Ooh,
excellent.
What a good idea.
I'll save up for my 680. So it knows it's on its way out, and it's started to get a little bit troublesome. So the thinner the wadding, the better for me.
Oh, okay.
and also this polyester stuff, sometimes it goes down into your plate and you have to clean your bobbin
Yeah.
race like nobody's business. So
I'm not very good at that.
well, I'm quite good at
Oh,
it,
yeah, I
but
can't
it's
actually
just
remember the last time I did it.
yeah.
I'm not very good. I can do it. I'm
Yeah.
just not very good at doing it very often.
I do it sort of on a fairly regular basis because there's so much volume that goes through there, really, with the wadding. But anyway, so
I feel like washing my car. I can do it.
oh no, I don't. That's the husband's
Yes,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah, car's yours. It's outside. Must be to do
You've
with you.
missed a bit. I didn't know he
But the
washed.
thing is, if you keep saying you've missed a bit, you just do.
I know he did wash mine the other day, and then I got in the car, and on the inside of the wing mirrors, they were really dirty. I thought, not good, is it? I might have a little word, quality control. But then you're right, then he won't wash it for me again.
Yeah, that's it. So it will.
I
You
hate
know what to
washing
do.
the car. I absolutely hate it. You just get wet and cold.
I think it's a job for the children to get involved in.
I
they
think
quite
it's a
like
job
it.
for one of those garages that you just drive into and you pay them on your way out. I think that's whose job it's for. Like,
Right, so I don't know quite what I'm doing. It's not really any free motion as you'd like for it to be free motion.
So
but I
you
just
could-
wanted to.
so you could grid it, you could draw
You could,
lines,
yeah.
you could free motion it.
You could get a walking foot out, which I haven't got.
It's actually quite good if you want to have a go at free motion because it's only a small area.
Yeah.
I
So-
used to be really scared of free motion. I thought I'm going to give it a go, and it's actually not too bad. I
No,
thought it'd be really hard.
You can do all sorts on free motion, can't you? So you'll kind of get, you can do whatever you like. You kind of get that sort of feeling for it. But I wouldn't kind of, if you want to, you can quilt all the way through to the back. It just depends. I suppose if you wanted it to be like a quilt, you could quilt all the way through to the back. I didn't on the flowers or the lettering, but I did when I came to the free motion aspect of it. I just wanted to anchor that onto there just so you could see without me having to keep putting 3 layers down. So this will be the stage you're at.
Oh, so this one they really have free motion, wiggly everywhere.
Yeah.
But not on top of the applique motifs.
No,
Then they've gone.
that's been
That's
kind of
done
gone
nice
round.
with straight lines and outlined it.
See, what you'd want to do is you could either spray baste it, so you could get your 505 and pop that on. So spray your 505 onto your wadding. No, anyway, you know what I mean. Spray your 505
Yes.
onto your wadding, or you can put your quilting pins in.
Cat's going to find some 505.
Spray away. Right, okay, here we go.
So if you've not used this before, what do you do? Spray the wadding, spray the
Spray the
fabric?
wadding.
Okay.
Yeah, spray the wadding. Simple reason, it gets the fabric too wet. Whereas if you
Okay.
spray your wadding and then, can I just place it down? I've got pins and needles in here and all sorts. You're kind of getting the idea.
So you do one bit and then spray the. Oh, you don't use a lot of spray then? Just a
No.
little squidge.
Yeah.
I don't think I've actually used spray basting.
Have you not?
No, I'm new to this.
So if you are new to it, practice it on a little bit like this. These are perfect for all your skill building.
Right.
Perfect.
Yes. Perfect for your practice, free
Yeah.
motion, spray basting, all that sort of thing.
And then what I would do, it depends. 505 doesn't do it quite as much because 505 is quite rigid on there anyway. But if you have the June Taylor, which I'd use quite a lot,
I think I've got a cup of tea now. It's magic.
it stays put better.
Nice mug.
If you iron it. So, are you the person that's got all the mugs?
Yeah. So I'm sorry if you haven't got a mug, but I have.
Rebecca's got all the mugs
nice
and all
mug.
the badges.
Yeah,
and all
I've
the
got a
world.
lot of badges.
I'll collect them.
Yeah, got a lot of badges. You can have one if you like. Oh, we've got a question. Question from June. Good morning,
June Taylor.
It's not June Taylor, is it? Just a quick question. Does the heat and bond have a shelf life, or does it lose its sticky?
So, depends what you have. If you have the stuff in the packet, so if you have the Bonder Web packet that we sell here,
yeah, so its real name, Fusible Web, is its generic name.
Yes.
And then there are brands. So there's Bonder Webs, Heat and Bond. There's lots of different ones, aren't there?
The Bonder Web that we sell in the packets, it's a strip, I think it's a 1/2 metre, so it's a strip about...
Yeah, it's only about that wide,
10
isn't
inches
it?
wide.
Yeah.
So that has got quite a good sort of stiff backing. If you...
Right, okay.
That kind of backing. And that stays on it pretty well. I use mine very frequently, so mine never sits on the shelf for a long period of time. Although in the past I have had the Bonder Web on a roll. It's still Vlizoline, but it's thinner, and sometimes the backing can lift off.
Oh, okay.
And if the backing lifts off, it can be a bit of a pain because...
yeah, because then it separates.
Yeah. What you can do to still use it is you can still use... So take the backing off, draw on your backing, and then place it back on again.
Oh, okay.
The problem with it, or can be, that you can't use up all your little diddly pieces, which I quite like to use.
I mean, I haven't
pieces.
found it's lost its... I don't know whether she meant, does it, with age, become less... I've not found that, but then to be honest, I've probably never kept it long enough to know.
Well, that's true. That's the same for me. But I think what you're possibly meaning is that the back, if you've got the 1/2 metre pieces off the roll, the back can lift up.
Yeah, no, it does. It depends how you store it as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think the brands are different as well.
They are. I quite like to fold mine because it seems to stay together better. But if you rolled it, I think the rolling kind of pushes it off a little bit.
I think it depends how you buy it, because I've bought it by the metre before and I've ordered it online and it's come as a folded piece. But then I've bought it where it's in a roll. What I need to do is commit to, you can get really big rolls.
Yeah, I think I
come
would
in like a cardboard box. That's what I want.
Yeah, I think I would. I would probably use enough to have a big roll.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever kept it long enough to know whether it loses its stickiness with time. But it does always peel off. You need to sew it on. It will never last.
No.
Particularly things like lettering, it will always come off.
Yeah, if your project is going to be on for, washed and stuff, you do want to anchor it some other way. So yeah, you'll go through all of your backing then to quilt it. So do your free motion and quilt the whole lot. And then you'll do your binding. And as I say, in the book, the binding is
2 1/4.
2 1/4.
Yeah, just read that.
Fold it in half. And what we do in the book is we attach it to the back. So here, you see, I've cut my backing, which is what I always do for a quilt, cut my backing and usually my wadding a little bit bigger. Because when you've done your free motion, especially with this, it's quite thick. So a 4 ounce, you'll have a lot of padding with it. If you don't cut everything underneath bigger than you need, you end up really trying to kind of pull it to the side to fit it in.
Yeah, because then it's quite hard to fold it over. So maybe if you cut them a bit wider.
Yeah. Well, you see, that's what I've done. I've cut.
Right.
Oh, cut these. Yes. Yeah, you could cut them two and a half, or
and then they might go round. Yes, because even when you work that out, it's sometimes quite hard to get it round and isn't it?
But what you would normally do now is you would normally trim this off. So if you were attaching it at the back, it's raw edge to raw edge. The way that you do it, we've done a diagonal piece there as well. So
yes.
she's taken a diagonal and kind of that's what you do, and fold it over and fold it and fold it over, fold it over. You can tell this isn't what I normally do. What I normally do is fold in my 1/2 inch and then fold it together.
And then overlap the other one.
So I would usually, I usually start on the left side in the middle. So if you want to identify any of my stuff, it's left side in the middle. And then I would pin that. So I've pinned that, lining it up with the white, and then I start sewing here.
Right.
And then take it up to the corner and do a mitre on the corner. So if I'll take it up to the corner and do a mitre. What you'll do in the book, if you're following the book, is do exactly this, but on the reverse.
And then how do you then join it back at the other end?
So on the other end, you would
Because everyone does it differently. It's really, I always find it really interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone does their corners differently, they're joining differently.
Yeah, it's just what feels natural.
Yeah,
to you,
but it's
doesn't
good to know, because sometimes different projects as well, it's nice to know other techniques.
Yes.
You think, oh, well, you can use
You
them
can
on
use
different
that,
things.
it's easier. So what I would do is when I get to about here, so if I've sewn it onto here, I would then, probably a bit more than that actually. So supposing I'd sewn it to here, I would then open this up, lift it up, gauge how much I needed,
Okay.
then cut a diagonal there, fold that back over. And if you cut a diagonal,
Oh, just to reduce.
yeah, so if you slice it off at the top, you've still got it at the bottom to hold it on.
Oh, okay.
And then sew it up to there. And then once you've done that, this is all going to go around and to the back. And
So
then
it's all
slip
nicely
stitch.
sealed in as well.
Yeah, I quite like that on the front, but I can understand why they brought it to the front to do the decoration around it if you want to, but you can see that was a little bit thicker than
I don't know.
would
I
like
honestly
it.
think it's just more of an American method that
thing.
people do, because some people as well don't bind. They cut their backing fabric bigger, don't they, and then pull that over to the front.
Yeah.
That's another way of doing it. I've never done that.
No, I think you've got to be really sure of your measurements. And have,
Good point. Because
Yeah.
then you can't just, because I like to,
Straighten
lovely,
off.
you know, when you've quilted and you've got your backing fabric that's all a bit wibbly and sticking out and you want it, when you trim it.
yeah,
lovely,
it's a
isn't it?
nice crisp edge, and you know that when you put this binding on,
It's
all
all-
the edges are level.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but then a lot of people do that backing, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, you can, if you've done, say, placemats, you can do it like you were just saying. So you can then, so if this was the edge of your placemat, you would kind of turn a little bit in. So I wouldn't have a binding then. Turn a little bit in and then turn it over.
Yeah, so that's the same thing.
And that makes it a lot more secure for something like a placemat.
Well, also a flatter finish as well, I
Yeah.
guess, with a placemat. So maybe where because you don't want the ridge of the binding around
No.
the edge because it needs to lay flat. So maybe that's why.
Yeah.
It's always, I always find it fascinating because you have your way of doing things, and then
Yeah.
somebody says try this, and you think, oh, that's
Revolutionary,
brilliant.
yeah.
It's a brilliant idea.
Or then you try it and you go, no, I'll go
No,
back
I'm
to
not
my
doing
own one.
that. I'm not doing that. I was doing something the other day with flying geese, and I learned a really good way off Sally Ann of doing that. I'd never realised when you trim off something, I thought, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
I think the more, it's quite nice being here because the more you chat to different people,
Yeah.
although there's not so many of us in at the moment, but it's quite nice to spin things off people, I think.
Well, yeah, that's why
You
it's
get
lovely because I
different
stand here and
ideas.
I listen to all you guys and I go, oh, that's a very
Well, I'll
good
have a go
idea.
at that.
I'm very good. Unfortunately, I get tempted by far too many products as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, oh,
yeah.
look at this.
I'm glad
lovely
that I'm
thread.
not on, I'm not kind of able to purchase when I'm on, because there's a lot of things I think, oh, I'll just have that.
You said, just one moment, I'm just getting it on the phone
Yes,
line.
yes.
Are we about to run out? I have it all the time and then we sell out and then I can't buy it. Like that jumper. Got my eye on that jumper for later.
Is that another one that you might have just have opened?
Yeah, no,
Did
sadly
you-
that's a sample I'm going to have to give
Oh,
back.
did you have, I was going to say, did you happen to spill
I
coffee
might buy
down
that
it or
kit.
something?
I tried it on earlier just to see if it looked nice.
I thought you were, I thought you hadn't got that on.
No, I
thought you
did. I
got
tried it
something
on
else.
earlier. I'm going to put it on later. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Fits me as well.
Made for me.
If it's made for me, I think they might notice when they go. Yeah.
Would you like me to mitre a corner, do you think? Or are we,
Have we got
nearly
time?
finished? I think we're nearly finished, are we?
How have we got time, guys? Right, if you do the mitre in the corner, we'll recap a bundle.
Okay.
Okay. And then we'll come back and show the mitred corner.
Yes. Well, I'll only do halfway up.
So all of the patterns are in the book. Here is the book. You need the book. Brand new today, 10. So we have sold absolutely loads of these, which I'm not surprised because $10.99 and you get 8 quilts. And what I like, even if you don't want to make those specific quilts, you have loads of templates. So you can mix and match them together. I mean, I think it's great. The fact that you've got all of the templates and you've got them perforated, you can take them all out. I like the templates for these clothes. I think they're lovely. This is my favourite project. It's a shame, actually, little criticism here, that the picture goes across the fold. Because it's a really nice one and it looks a bit like the sort of the back of a book. They should have made it smaller because I'd like to see that.
Like that was a thing that she did last minute and all
yes.
chuck it in because
well, I thought, oh, well, that's obviously a promo picture. Where's the real project? So, but that's beautiful, isn't it? And the little thread spools are lovely, all at angles. That's the glorious thing about applique. But all of those, you know, if you wanted an applique pattern for a pair of scissors, there it is. So everything you need to know in that. And what's lovely is that the technique section at the front isn't very big because you don't actually need that many techniques. You need to get the whole bonder web thing and a bit of binding. And other than that, it's pretty simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's your favourite one?
I like the balloons.
That is
I
nice.
quite fancy doing the balloons.
That's lovely, isn't it? Rise
Yeah.
up. Where would you hang it?
I'm not sure.
Not sure.
There's so many spaces in my house that could do their thing.
I'll hang it next to my bed and go, no. Don't be ridiculous.
Or a big cross.
Yeah, don't be ridiculous. My alarm went off this morning. I thought, you've got to be kidding me. Don't be so ridiculous.
I quite like balloons, so I thought, yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah,
I think I would make the Create mat, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
I do love that one, but I also like the farmer's market, and I'm not sure why. I think it's all the vegetables.
Yeah, it could be the print of the font.
I think actually
I
that's.
was drawn to the font.
It is. I
Yeah.
think that's lovely,
It's
isn't
very
it?
cheerful,
In
isn't
fact, wouldn't that make a nice tote bag?
Yes. Well, there's nothing to stop you putting those on tote
Yeah,
bags
you don't
and
have
things.
to. You don't have to make a wall hanging.
No,
It's not
and also
compulsory.
you've got quite a lot of letters. I don't think you've got all of the alphabet, but you have got quite a lot of letters. So you could do a name or
Yes,
whatever you might want
yeah.
to do.
But that would make a really nice tote bag, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? Just mark it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the book. We love the book. There are 2 bundles if you want to make the Rise and Shine, and you get loads left over as well. So you can make lots of the other wall hangings or tote bags, make them into whatever you want. So in the red bundle, you get a fat quarter of this yellow, sort of a golden sunflower yellow, a sky blue, and a sage green. Just making it up. Spotty
I think
fat quarter.
those are the right colours.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 meters of red, which is like a pillar box red. 1.5 meters of ice white. And 0.5 meter of midnight black. 0.5 meter of midnight black.
You're getting a bit too now.
Yeah,
aren't
we're going to
you?
rename all the fabrics from now on.
Stop her quick.
Will be renamed. And then in the blue bundle, you get a fat quarter of spotty sage green, a fat quarter of spotty pillar box red, and a fat quarter of spotty sunflower yellow. You get 0.5 meter of midnight black, 1.5 meters of ice white, and 2 meters of sky blue. But on a sort of not a really deep sky, a nice sort of light sky.
Morning mist.
Morning mist. Morning mist. And then neck and neck. Oh, that's interesting. You will also need bonder web, which we have, for $2.99. Is that packet's enough, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to plan,
But that's enough.
like we said at the beginning, but yes, it's enough.
Have I got to? Oh, here we are. Here we
Yes.
are. It's 17.5 centimetres wide. Not sure why. Is that, do you think, in imperial? It's because it's odd that it's
Sounds like it,
17.5. I don't know what that is in inches. Who knows? But, well, 20 centimetres is 8 inches. It's about 6-ish.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
think
but
it is
it's
about
quite long, 1.2 metres long.
Yeah, you can get everything on it, but you do need to plan, like we said at the beginning, you do need to plan your
Right.
colourways.
So think about it first, but there is enough
Yeah.
for that. and the ironing mat, which isn't compulsory for this project, but extremely useful. So it's padded, so you open it out and you can iron on it, like that. So it's a really good thing if you're going on a workshop, one day you will, and you can take it with you, because then you know what it's like when you're on the workshop. You've always got a queue for the ironing board, but if you take this, you've got your own, particularly if you've got a mini iron as well. Or next to your sewing machine, because you can't bother to get up and do your pressing, so you've just got it there. Or you can't bother to get the ironing board out, that can just sit on your table. And then inside, you've got the cutting mat on one side, so again, ideal for workshops or little things like if you're doing a bit of FPP or you just want to cut something small. And then I love the design board. I think I've got it around the wrong way. But so you can lay things on here, so you can design things to put where you want. But also, if you've cut small pieces, you can put them all on here, put the piece of fabric over it, and then it just keeps them safe. So it's really good for the project. Brand new, back in stock. It's a really useful thing, isn't it? Very pretty as well. Jules, how was the mitering?
Yes, we've mitered. That's your miter corner. So you go up and back and round.
And all of the instructions to do that are in the book?
Yes, yeah.
That's very neat.
Yeah. And then you just take it to the back.
That was brilliant. I've learned loads.
Good.
Fantastic. So we will see you back again at 11.
Yes, no machine.
Oh, Crewel.
Crewel. It's a Crewel world.
Oh, it's a Crewel hour. I love Crewel embroidery, so I'm quite excited. I haven't done any Crewel embroidery for a while. More stranded cotton, but I'm looking forward to that.
Lots of stranded cotton.
Well, I will see you back here very soon then.
Thank you. More breakfast.
And after the break, I'm back. With Flower of the Month, the finale. We're going to have big velvet curtains and everything like a theatre. Well, we're not, but it is the finale of Flower of the Month, where we've got lots and lots of different complicated bundles and everything, but I will go through it all with you. So I'll see you back in a couple of minutes.
Keep up to date with what's on Sewing Street and Yarn Lane, as well as all the latest news and special offers by signing up to our email newsletters. For Sewing Street, head on over to www.sewingstreet.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and you're done. It's exactly the same for Yarn Lane. Head on over to www.yarnlane.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and that's it. You are now subscribed to both Sewing Street's and Yarn Lane's email newsletters, so you'll never miss out on the latest news and special offers ever again.
Missed the live show? Don't worry, we recorded it for you. Never miss out on your favourite presenters, guests and makes ever again. Head on over to our YouTube pages to watch back the day's live show and enjoy your favourite demos over and over again. We also have lots of great content exclusive to our YouTube pages, such as product demonstrations, troubleshooting videos, and so much more. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a show or video ever again.
In need of a crafting fix? There are so many ways you can watch Sewing Street and Yarn Lane. Sewing Street is live from 8 AM to 1 PM every day on Freeview 72 and Sky 670. Alternatively, if you want to watch us on a tablet or on the move, you can tune in on our YouTube channel, the Sewing Street app, or the websites at www.sewingstreet.com and www.yarnlane.com. You can watch past shows on Sky 670 from 1 PM every day, as well as our YouTube channel, the app, and our website. Yarn Lane is on from 12 PM to 1 PM. Visit our programme guide to find out when and what's on, so you never have to spend a minute without us.
Have you heard about all of the different ways you can shop with Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? You can either shop on our websites, sewingstreet.com and yarnlane.com. You can also order by phone by calling our friendly UK customer service team. For Sewing Street, call 0800 001 4433, and for Yarn Lane, call 0800 4700 600. And don't forget about the Sewing Street app. Here you can shop all of the Sewing Street products as well as watch the live shows from anywhere. You can download the app, onto your smartphone or your tablet by simply searching Sewing Street in your App Store. And one final thing, no matter how many times you check out on Sewing Street or Yarn Lane in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. Happy shopping! If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live show and send in any messages or any questions, then you can do it on studio@sewingstreet.com. Alternatively, you can message us on our official Facebook page. If you're a Sewing Street or Yarn Lane customer, no matter how many times you check out in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. So don't wait to add the item you want to your basket and check out. You will only pay one P&P even if you check out multiple times in one day.
Keep up to date with what's on Sewing Street and Yarn Lane, as well as all the latest news and special offers by signing up to our email newsletters. For Sewing Street, head on over to www.sewingstreet.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and you're done. It's exactly the same for Yarn Lane. Head on over to www.yarnlane.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and that's it. You are now subscribed to both Sewing Street's and Yarn Lane's email newsletters, so you'll never miss out on the latest news and special offers ever again.
If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live show and send in any messages or any questions, then you can do it on studio@sewingstreet.com. Alternatively, you can message us on our official Facebook page.
Good morning and welcome back to Sewing Street. It is actually snowing. Just been outside and look. And we're doing April Flower of the Month and it's Easter Monday. I just went outside. It is actually snowing. I'm so excited. But you know what? I bet it'll only snow for about an hour and then it won't be. I love snow so much. Anyway, let's not talk about the snow because this is the end of Flower of the Month. So all of you who have been with us since the very beginning when we launched Flower of the Month back in May last year, this is the last one. April, the sweet pea. Brand new, first time ever. Right, remember, on the panel you get the flower, which actually measures 12-inch finished size. So remember that it's actual 12-inch printed. So when you make it and cut it, you'll lose the seam allowance off. So the actual outer size of this blue spotty border is 12 inches. Obviously you can cut it down if you want because you've got the inner size, but that's the size from there to there. On the panel as well, you get 5 complementary strips of fabric. They are all 2.5 inches wide and 43 inches long. So exactly the same as the design roll, because our fabric is wider than normal, and they are printed in prints that go with the flower. Let me pull it over and you can see. So you've got like a dark spot print, medium, light, very light, and then a really pale spot, and that all coordinates there. So you can use this panel just to make one thing. So you could make a cushion or a bag or all sorts of different things with the square. You could use it for the centre of a quilt that's bigger. You could use it for place settings, napkins, table mats, loads and loads of different things. So if you've made things with it, let us know. We'd love to see what you've made, what are different things. You know, maybe you've got a friend whose birthday's in April, maybe your birthday's in April. You can make a cushion to go on your bed. It's Paul's birthday in April, so we'll be making him one of these later. I'm going to put like maybe on the back of a shirt for him. I thought it'd be quite nice. And then what you could do, say you wanted to make this into a cushion, using the complementary strips, you could border it and make it into quite a big cushion. It look beautiful on the bed. You could use one of them and pleat it and make a frill around the edge. On the bottom of all of the panels, there are 2 labels. One has got the name of the month, so it says April Sweet Pea, and the other one quilted by. So you can use that label to put on the back of something that's brilliant as a gift. You can either draw on there with a permanent pen or embroider their name, your name actually. And then this little label you can use to stitch onto it. You could use it to put on the back of things. So for £9.99, it's fantastic value because you get the panel and these fabric strips which remember, you don't have to cut them out as strips if you don't want to. You can cut them that way. There isn't a gap left between them. So if you cut them this way, you then get automatic patchwork. It's like magic. So there's loads in there. So that's April. So let's pretend, because this is quite complicated how many different things you've got. Say, right, you've bought all 12 and you're thinking, I really like that quilt that's behind her. What I made yesterday. So if you want to make the quilt that is behind me, we have the instructions that I wrote. And I know that they work because when I made the quilt last night, I followed them. So I know they work with the panel. Now the panel has got all the pieces of fabric you need to make the quilt. Now I think they've got this wrong, to be honest, but we're going with it. No, not the panel, the price. I think they've got the price wrong, but we're going with it because that's what it said. So it's too late now, isn't it? Because for $9.99, you get the panel to make up the quilt. So on there, you can see, shall I stand and do like a weather girl thing? You get all the pieces to make the vertical sashing strips, the horizontal, the internal border squares, the external border squares, the vertical borders, the horizontal borders, and the binding. And you can see how big this panel is. Look. So it's bigger than the Flower of the Month panel, much bigger. And what's even better is that all the colours, well, you can see from the quilt behind me, all the colours that are in the strips and the squares and everything are match beautifully with the colours on the quilt because we've designed it all. They've taken out, so if I show you, like for example, the yellow square at the top here is the same as the yellow of the daffodils, and that pink square there is the same as the pink there. So that's all on there. And you also get the instructions, and the instructions explain exactly how to make it from the beginning. So they tell you about cutting out what you need, how to make the rows, join the rows, add the borders, how to quilt it and how to bind it, because I wanted to be able to give you instructions that take you from the beginning right to the very end so that you can actually make this. And also, once I've gone through all these panels, I'm going to show you too, because I've been creating it. So that's why we think the price is wrong, because for this panel, which is almost twice the size as the normal Flower of the Month, and you get the instructions which we normally sell for $9.99 on their own, and it has got all the quilting and the binding and everything in there. But anyway, that's the price they gave us, so we're going with it. So if you've only just joined us and you're thinking, I really want to make that, but I haven't been with you since March because I've only just found you and I didn't know that and I only bought one. But we have got special treat for you today. You can get all 12 flower panels. Now, if you haven't been with us before, when I just showed you April, where you get the square and the complementary strips, every month, let me show you just one of them so you can see what I mean. This is January. Every month is exactly the same, that you get the Flower of the Month, and January was a carnation. So you get your panel, but you also get the complementary strips. So I'm not going to open up all of them, but every single month is the same. So for a special deal today, you get the 12 panels with the Flower of the Month and the complementary strips. You get the binding panel that I just showed you here, and the instructions, all for £129.87. So that means you can make the whole quilt all in one go for £129.87. And the joy of that is it's on split pay. So you don't have to use split pay. If you want to buy it all in one go, you can pay that. But if you want to split it, £64.93. Really hard to read that. I can't ever decide. £64.93. You can pay now and we will send it straight to you. You don't have to wait. And then next month you pay another £64.93 and then it's yours. But you will get sent it all at once. It is interest free. If you put it in your calculator, £129.87 divided in half is £64.93. So you won't pay interest. It's just a way of making it a little bit easier because we'll split it over the 2 months for you, but we will send it to you straight away. So for the size of the quilt, which I should know what it is since I drew it, It is about 48 by something, can't remember. I can measure it. I should know, but since I wrote all the measurements, it's 40 something, 48 by 50, I think. So really good size quilt. And for £129.87, I think that's an absolute bargain. All you will need on top of that is wadding, and you will need 53 by 67 inches, which is 134 by 170 centimetres, and you will need backing fabric. So the extra wide backing is ideal because you need 134 by 170 centimetres, so it is wider than normal fabric. You can join it together, but other than that, all of the panels, and if you make the finished quilt from this, you will have left over all of the complementary strips from each thing. So when I made up the quilt, let me show you. I made up the quilt and they gave me all of the panels to make up. But obviously, because I was making the quilt, I didn't need all the complementary strips. Look what I had left over. So if you buy the complete pack, you'll need the squares and you'll need the ball. But you will have left over 12 of these. And they're mine. See? They're mine now. And that's what I... But you see, you could join all these together for your backing because there is more than enough here. Or you have got some fantastic design strips in all of these colours to keep. That's if you buy the whole pack, obviously. So that's what I had left. But if you haven't done it before, you're joining for the first time today, this is your chance to get the whole thing, all 12 squares with the complementary strips, the borders and binding panel and the instructions. And the great thing is because it's on split pay, you know, you can split it over 2 months. Sorry, I just disappeared into the box. Yeah, so you can do it that way. However, if you have just joined us and you're thinking, actually, I would really like just August, we do have each of the Flower of the Month panels, like this one, separately. So say, for example, you decided, I only want... My birthday is in September, right? So if you're thinking, my birthday's in September, I really want the Aster, this is for example, we have got them individually. So if you go, they're £9.99. So if you go onto the website, if you scroll down, click on watch, I can't get my hair caught somewhere. If you click on watch live and scroll down, you will see we do have some of each of the panels individually. So we've restocked all of them. So say you've got 10 of them, you need to buy the other 2 because you don't want to buy the whole kit, you just need the border one. They're all there anyway. And they've got the names of what they are, and you can see behind me which each one is. So if you're just missing one, or you think, I love that idea, well, don't want to make the whole quilt, I just want September. It's my friend's birthday in September, going to make her a cushion and I'm going to get it now. Then that's how you do that. So there's various options. You can buy just the borders and binding panel with instructions. You can buy the whole thing with the all 12 panels, the borders and binding panel and the instructions, or you can just buy these individually. But if you're confused, message in. Message in. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. I might know the answer. I've got to put these... Right, so... I'm going to show you, I've got to put these back in order, otherwise Kat will be very, very unhappy because she's put them all in order. So one moment. There we go. It's all right now. It's all right. It's all done. It's all back in order. I'll put January back as well. I'm going to show you how to make up the quilt. It's not very complicated, let me just say. But I thought actually if I go through it with you step by step, it's just a nice way of you being able to see how to make a quilt if you've not made one before. If you've got lots of squares, you've not thought about making one up, I'm going to show you how to do it, and then you can use that technique for your own things. Are we going to do the flower of the, do this panel? I was going to save it to the, yeah, we'll do it. Or should we save it? No, we'll do it. Okay. We might be saving this to the end, but I've ruined it now. So, one last treat. We have got, this is lovely. So you know how charm packs are 5-inch squares? We've created our own charm pack. You've got 40 5-inch squares, but they are all using, I'll show you, that's just in half. Let me show you what we've got on one side, and then you can see what we've got on the other side. So we've got 45-inch squares. This is just half of them. I'll show you in a minute. So we've got some that are solid squares. Well, they've got prints on, but they're prints that you'll find in the complementary strips, so the spots and stripes. You've got some squares that have got miniature versions of the full flower. So like, for example, you see this one here, that's the poinsettia, and there's the poinsettia on the big, and the big poinsettia. I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it? I love the mini square, but what a fantastic quilt this would make. You could use all these little squares, join them together. You could, if you've bought any of the other panels, you could use the complementary strips, and then you could just use a plain fabric. Let me flip it over and then you can see the other ones. You could make a beautiful cushion where using one of each of those squares, and then to make it go even further, you know, you could use plain fabrics between them. So it's just an extra special little treat, $12.99, because we know that you all love them. I love the daffodils. They look gorgeous in miniature, don't they? So there's loads and loads of different things you can do this, but if you cut it all, they're all 5-inch squares, which is your charm pack. But you know, you could even use this, you could change things around a bit, you could use some of them for cornerstones, you could take them out and applique them in different places, you could really make things your own. You could, like with the daffodils, you could bonder-web that, press bonder-web on the back, cut it out, press it onto something else. You know, you could make a whole floral display, but I think for 45-inch squares, because often a charm pack has got 45-inch squares, they are never $12.99, let me say. Half of the stock already went of this on pre-order. I like the Lily of the Valley. That's really nice. But if you've got any questions, because I know it's a bit complicated, because we are on the very end of this, and so we've got lots and lots of different options, or you want to enter the Easter egg competition to win 100 half meters of fabric, studio@sewingstreet.com. If you message in, I will answer, if I know the answer. Yes. So the graphic there at the moment, I still think that's wrong, is the binding, borders and binding panel and the instructions. So what have I done with the instructions? Oh, well, I've got my own here. I'll just go and get one. 1 minute. Talk amongst yourselves. 1 moment, caller. Just talk amongst yourselves. So I'm back now. Right. I do have my instructions, but I just want to show you how it works. So this is a really good technique if you want to make your own. I'm going to show you how to make this one, but if you do want to make your own quilt, to work it out to start with, when I do it, I always draw it out onto graph paper or just sketch it. Draw everything out in the order that you want it. So you've got your individual squares and you've got strips between them. Draw it and write out the measurements to the finished size that it is. Then add the seam allowances on afterwards. It's a lot easier. And then you can write a cutting plan. For this borders and binding panel, you don't need to think about that because all the pieces on there are printed to exactly the size you need them. So all you've got to do is cut them out. So for example, because this is the little bits I've cut out, on this panel, actually, shall I open up the panel then you can see it? Even better. So on this panel, before you do anything, you need to cut everything out. Now you will see that everything is labelled. We'll get there in a minute. So you've got like vertical sashing, horizontal sashing. Actually, it doesn't help that I've got the instructions in the back of it. But anyway, all of the pieces are labelled. So what you need to do is when you cut out each piece, cut the little label out above it and pin that onto it. So let me just take that out from behind because I think that's messing up the focus a bit. Isn't it? There we go. Oh, there we go. So cut out each of them. You can see there's a very faint grey line. Some of them, like the horizontal and the vertical sashing, have got very pale spots, but there is a grey line around them. And cut the little label out and pin it to the top. So we've got horizontal borders, vertical sashing, horizontal sashing. We've got border corner squares. Those are the ones for the outside four corners. And then we've got internal corner squares. They're the ones that go within it. We got horizontal sashing, vertical borders, and then these grey strips here are your binding. So it really is everything in here except for the wadding and the backing, and the quantities for that will be on the instructions. So start off by cutting out everything, which you can do with a pair of scissors or with a rotary cutter, up to you. Just make sure you cut it accurately. and please do pin the label on because you will forget which is which, and then it won't work. Ooh, I wonder what that was. So what you do to start with, now it's up to you, and I've written this in the instructions, you don't have to put them in the order that I've put them in. I've done them January, February, March, and done them in season order. You don't have to do that, it's your quilt, do whatever you like. You might have decided, I don't like all the flowers, I've bought 2 of one, and I've bought 3 of another. So decide first what order you're going to put them in. If you're putting them in the same order as mine, as ours here, you don't need to decide, you can just follow the picture. But if you're not, follow them. So the first thing you do is you've got to create a row. So the top row is formed of 3 squares. So we've got January, February, I'll just lay them out, and March. Okay, so January, February, March, and in between January, February and March, we have vertical sashing strips, like that. So that's the order that we're going to put it in. So all you have to do is, once you've got it laid out, we're going to sew them together. So as you can see, look at that, that's amazing, isn't it? It fits perfectly. That's because it has been designed specially. There's all sorts in this pin box. There's needles and weird pins. When you're doing something like this where it's, I mean, these are 12 inches long, pin at either end to make sure that they line up because they are the same measurement, and then pin in the centre. Okay, so we're going to sew that one to that one. There is a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so either use a 1/4 inch foot or use the markings on your stitch plate. So if you wanted the charm pack panel, it's now sold out. So congratulations if you got yours, because it is a thing of beauty. Hopefully, you never know, we might get them back. We can but ask. Or is that it now? Is that it? That's it? Well, there are others. We're on birds as well. It's birds. Yeah, oh, maybe they should do a bird charm part. So now you just keep joining them on like this. Now it does help, particularly when you're making sure that you're sewing them all in the right order. If you do lay out one row at a time, I had to keep checking to make sure I had mine and had them the right way up, because some of the flowers it's really obvious, like the daffodil, you can see that clearly the stem's at the bottom, but there are some flowers that you have to really think about because they haven't got stems and you don't want it to get it upside down. So there we go, sew this one on. I've got to do a whole row so you can see how it goes together, but then I've done the others. So I wonder if we'll get a bird. So if you're doing bird of the month, we've just done March on bird of the month actually. So I think April's in a couple of weeks' time. So just make sure you keep to this 1/4 inch seam allowance because, you know, as I said, with the panel, it has all been designed so it fits exactly when you cut each piece and sew it together. That it's important that you use the right seam allowance. Open that one up, we're getting there. These sashing strips are very pale, so just double check that you've got them on the right side. But they're done like that because with some designs, some quilts, it's quite nice to have the borders and the sashing in sort of a darker colour. But I think with this one, it makes the flowers sort of stand out for themselves by keeping the sashing quite pale, and it matches the sort of the pastel effect of everything else. So the sashing are very pale, so do make sure when you put them right sides together that they are. These flower pins are very weird because they're quite long and bendy. Do reverse stitch at the beginning and end of each seam as well, because we're going to press them and they will come undone. So make sure you do that. It's great. If you've got a 1/4 inch foot, it's so easy because it's really easy to keep, because it has like a little lip on it and you run it along the edge of the fabric and it really helps. I'm nearly there. And then, so that's January, February, March. But you don't have to do it in that order. Because I mean, I know there are some people who haven't bought all of it, or they've bought 2 of one. You know, you don't have to do them in that order, because I'll talk to you about labels later, but the actual, when you're joining them together like this, they haven't got labels on, so it's up to you. Right, if you want to buy the mega bundle of 12 panels, the borders and binding panel and the instructions, that's on split pay, it's the one that's on the right hand side at the moment. It's no more expensive. It's the same as if you buy them all individually. But if you want to buy them on split pay, that's why we've put them all together. For some people who want to buy the whole lot, I've only got 20 of them left. So if you do want to buy that, you need to do that now. Because, you know, I know, the thing is, when we do these sort of block of the months and different things, you can't always guarantee everyone's joined at the beginning of the month, and how annoying if you haven't, and then you're halfway through. Right, so that's them all joined together. Now, when you're joining anything together, but well, I mean, also is a different, aren't they? And the joy of my job is I get to work every week with absolute experts, and they teach me all these things. And some people, yeah, those absolute experts are Kat and Paul, obviously, you know, loads about sewing and teach me all the week, but although they do make a good cup of tea. Some people are pressers, and some people forget to turn the iron on. Some people are pressers and some people aren't. I am a presser, I press everything. But I find because these seams now need to be pressed to one side or open, and that's entirely up to you. But press the seam first. Oh, I've got a message off Julie. What does it say? Good morning, Rebecca. I love your shows. Oh, thanks, Julie. Thank you for being there on a miserable Monday. Great jumper. Is there nothing you can't do? Yeah, I can loads of things. I can't ice cakes. I can't make brownies. I'm rubbish at making jam. It never sets. And many other things too. Many, many other things. So if you're any good at making brownies or icing cakes or making jam and chutney, can't do that. Those are things. So what I do, by pressing it, it stops it being wibbly. I'm going to press my seams open, and it's pure preference. Some people press them to one side, and I do sometimes when I'm doing patchwork with lots of seams and I want to change the bulk. But I think, personally, you get a flatter finish with it pressed open. A lot of people will press patchwork seams to one side because otherwise the wadding may come through this. But this fabric is a really beautiful quality cotton. It's a very tightly woven, so I don't think the wadding will come through. I just prefer to press seams open because I think you get a flatter finish. But honestly, there is, seriously, and don't let anyone tell you any different, there is no right or wrong way, unless you're entering a quilt competition, which I doubt, which Paul does on a regular basis. Now, if I had my steam iron here, this would be going. I love pressing seams. I hate ironing, but I do like pressing seams because look how nice that looks now. It looks nice now, doesn't it? So you do all the rows in exactly the same way. Lay them out and do them that way. The next thing you need to do is join together. So I've done the other rows, so I'm not going to do them now. I'll put them out of the way. The next thing we're going to do, so we've joined, can you see here, we've done that row, yeah? So what we're going to do now is we're going to join all the rows in the same way, and then we're going, this row here that's horizontal sashing and internal border squares, we're going to do that. So you can put them in whatever order you like because there are different colours. Look, you see, I labelled mine. See, look, internal corner squares. You can put them in whatever order you like, or you can follow the colours that are on the pattern. It's up to you, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. So what you do, and it tells you in the instructions, I wrote it down, lay down the pieces in the following order: horizontal sashing strip, there we go. Then you go internal corner square. Shall I put mine in the same order as that? Yeah. Then you go horizontal sashing strip. Then you go internal corner square, and then you go internal sashing strip, but I've run out of space. So what you do is place these. It's really simple, isn't it? But well, there's two reasons why I did it like this. Because you sometimes, oh, the iron's in the way. Sometimes you have the horizontal sashing strip as one piece of fabric, which actually most often you do, but I find I quite like having the internal corner squares for two reasons. It breaks it up and you can put a little bit more colour in, but also it means you don't have to have those really long strips. And I don't like the effect. It's all right with borders, but for some reason within a quilt you can join fabric for the sashing strips to make them right length. If those horizontal sashing strips are longer than the width of the fabric, then you're going to have to join, and I don't like doing that. It's also a little bit more efficient from fabric because you can use smaller scraps of things. So that's why I have split them with these internal corner squares. But if you're going to use this tutorial to make your own quilt, you can cut them as one long piece, because obviously I am now, by doing this, I'm creating one long piece of fabric. But that's entirely up to you. And some people, you know, obviously do join bits of fabric in sashing. But when you're working out, if you're wanting to sort of work out sashings on borders for your own quilt, then remember that you can use this as a technique. It's also quite a good way for like fussy cutting, because what you can do then is these are just little squares, these are only 2.5 inch squares, you could cut a small motif to put on them. So finally, so you do this, make one of the full horizontal sashing strips, and then you do all of them in the same way. Cut. Now we do have to press this, and luckily iron's on this time. Handily. It's always useful, luckily, to turn the iron on. Press it open. But you can press them to one. When you've pressed a seam open, turn it over and press the other side. And I always give it a little pull. Can you see? See that? Give it a little pull, and then it just opens up the seam exactly, because don't pull it too much. If you pull it too much, you'll stretch it. Don't pull it to stretch it. Just pull it. Right, don't pull it to like really stretch it, but sometimes when you press the seam open from the other side, you might get like a little crease or ridge there. So just pull it very slightly. There we go. So now that's your horizontal. You could use a bit of best press on it, because that would help. I haven't got any of that. I've got loads of sanitizer. You can't use hand sanitizer on it. That'd be ridiculous. So now I've got a horizontal sashing strip. What you do is you need to, this is now, let me pull that forward so you can see. So that goes underneath there. So lay it out, because there's nothing worse. And I actually didn't do that with this one, but I have done it many times, so on the wrong end. This goes below that. So make sure that's right, and then put it over there, so you know that's in the right place. Then you can turn it to face you. Now, what's important here is that you match these internal corner squares with the seams. So start with that. Take one seam and lay it so that the seams match up and that you know it's at the top. And then just to double check, that's a massive pin, put your pin through the seam at the top, and then just make sure it's going through the seam underneath. Move my hands out the way, you can see there. Then you know that matches. Keep that pin in there and put a pin across, and you know it's in the right place. And then do the same thing with the next seam. just push the pin through to double check it's in the right place. See, that's just a tad over. I mean, do you know what? It doesn't really matter. If you're off slightly, no one's going to notice, but you might. And if you're off slightly, it won't matter too much. But if you try, you know, if you try and match it up at this stage, you're more likely that it will be accurate. Right, so you've matched those up. Pin it at the end, because the longer the pieces of fabric that you're dealing with that are coming from one place to another, the more chance that you've got of it stretching out of shape. So what I do is, because I've got a pin, an anchoring pin here and here, if I just pull it and then pin in the centre, because they are exactly the same measurement, but because this section has been sewn, then it changes the stretchiness of the fabric, so it's best to do it that way. Right, let's get to the other end, and we can pin that one. Ooh. And let's do this one. And now, because I've anchored those, you see where you can stretch it like that and then just sort of put your thumb in the middle, and then you know it fits. And then the final end, I mean, this is a really simple technique. I'm sure loads of you have bordered and sashed and bound a quilt before, but sometimes it's just nice to go through it again, and also for people who haven't. And I think when you're then trying to work out sashing and borders and binding for your own quilt, if you've watched it being done, it's easy to work it out. Right, so now we can sew the whole of that seam in place. Again, do a reverse stitch at the beginning and end, and use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Take your pin out as you go. Yeah, do you think I'm going to finish the whole quilt? The whole quilt, the whole quilt. But I did actually at the weekend make some of it in advance. So I'm not sure that I would be able to make the whole quilt. They were just saying to me, Paul and Kat, will you make the whole thing? But it's actually quite a quick quilt to make. And what's nice as well, because everything's printed for you, means that you can do other things to it. Like if you wanted to do some embroidery on the flowers, that would be really nice. So you can, you know, although the panels are printed for you, you don't have to leave them like that. You could applique pieces of you could trace around the petals and applique some fabric to make them a bit more 3D. You could embroider over parts of them. Right, so there's that one. And obviously we'll give that a little press. You see, now you can see what I mean about why you need to press seams before you do anything, before you even press them open. I mean, that takes a second, but you will get a neater finish to a pressed open seam if you've pressed the seam flat first. And actually, once you've done this a few times, it just becomes habit and you always do it. You will get a neater finish, I promise. Then open it up. And then we'll press the seam. Again, open or to one side, it's entirely up to you. People have their own preferences, it doesn't really matter. It's worth doing this as you go along, because I've found that if you're sewing lots of strips together, if you then press them all open later, sometimes because they've been sewn together, you can get one caught in the next one, because these strips are only 2.5 inches wide. So it's just easier for them to not get caught one in the other if you press them open as you go. I mean, you don't have to, but they can get caught. But to give a good press on where the seams cross as well. Right. Okay, so I've got 7 minutes to make a whole quilt. Right. So that's the top bit. Right, and then what you've got to do is join all the others together really, really, really quickly, like this. See, I hope you're feeling more optimistic that I'm going to get this done now, guys. Look, so that's what it looks like when you join it all together, the other ones. There, see? Now, all I've got to do is, look, the top bit gets joined on there. So I've done all the others, and there's nothing new there. So you can do it working from the top down or the bottom up, it doesn't really matter. But obviously you know that you've got to make the rows first, then you've got to make the horizontal sashing strips that have you create those using the internal border squares, and then you join it all together. And you can do it from the bottom up. I just wanted to be able to show you, because obviously it would be a bit boring watching me sew the whole quilt. Well, also I don't think I'd get it all done. And I wanted to show you what it looks like when it's all done. So I've got to pin this one on. It's difficult when you've got to, and you probably would have needed about 12 sets of squares. Oh, don't forget to match up all these little seams as well. I mean, if it's off slightly, you won't notice, particularly once it's quilted. But at least if you start off vaguely right, you've got a chance of it vaguely fitting. But don't get too hung up about it. Right. So have we got any of the full kits left, Kat? So we have still got, but not many, very limited stock of the full quilt that's available on split pay. So if you want all 12 panels and the borders and binding panel and the instructions, it's on screen, £129.87. And then you can create a whole quilt, and you can make it as easy or complex as you want. You can just do what I've done and join it all together. Or like I say, you know, you can personalise it, you can embroider it. I'm going to talk about, when I get to the end of this row, I'm going to talk about personalising. And don't forget, you get all of those, I need to put that in my mouth, naughty. But remember, you're getting the full panel, you won't just get the squares, so you get all those complementary strips. And I showed you at the beginning, didn't I, how many I had left over. Loads of fabric, which you could use to join together for your backing. So I think, well, you know, it's up to you what you do with it, but I think it's really good opportunity to personalise it. So you need to press that open. Now what you can do, so there's the whole quilt, really, except for the borders. What you can do is do what I did. Now on every panel there are, let me find one, here we go, January. On every panel, I told you at the beginning that you get these labels that say January. Now what I did with my big quilt, if you look here, I want you to look just there. I pressed some Bonder web to the back of each of the labels, peeled it off, and then I pressed it here. Now you can put it where you like. I could have put it in the centre of the strip, but I didn't want the November and December ones to be in the centre of the border. So that's why I put it across there. I measured it all, pressed it in place, and then I top stitched it. You don't have to use Bonder web, but it's easier to get a neater finish by doing that. But what you could do is you could, well, you don't need to put those on at all, but you could embroider people's names on here. So if you had, you know, somebody's specific birthday or an occasion, you can really personalise it. So, well, like you could put Paul under April because it's his birthday in April, as he keeps telling me. I think he's hoping for a big present, but it's right, look, he's even focused it on April. So you could really personalise it, because, but get to the stage that I'm at now before you do that, because then you can see where you want to lay everything. So the next thing you do is you put on the vertical borders, which are here. I'm not going to have to, in lovely complementary colours. I'm not really going to have time to do that, am I? But this is how it works. Very hard to make a whole quilt in like 20 minutes. These are the vertical ones. So you sew one to the right side, one to the left side. Then you have to create the horizontal ones. And these are created, let me move this out of the way, in exactly the same way as you did your sashing strips. So what you do, well, I've made one in advance because I thought I'd get that far, is so you've sewn the vertical ones down the sides, and now for the horizontal ones, you take one border square. Remember, you've already labelled this before because it says it on your panel. You take one horizontal border square, and you sew that either end of the horizontal borders. That makes the full border. So you sew them on, that's what it looks like before you've done it. That creates the whole horizontal border. So if we look at the whole quilt, can we go up? No, but can we go to the top? Can we go to the top? So you can see that the vertical borders came down the sides first. Shall I move this side? Like the weather. Okay. And then you can see that the horizontal border has the squares either side and goes all the way along the top. When you've done that, join that all together, then you need to quilt it. So cut your backing. In the instructions, it tells you the size of the backing fabric and the size of the wadding that you need. If you want to purchase that in advance, you need backing fabric 53 by 67 inches or 134 by 170 centimetres. The extra wide backing that we had on earlier would be perfect. So because of the width of it, you actually only need you would only need just over a metre and a half. And the wadding the same, 53 by 67 inches or 134 by 170 centimetres. So quilt it, lay the backing fabric right sides down, the wadding on top, quilted top on top, and then quilt it in whatever way you want. You could make it very simple by just quilting along the border lines. You could go for an all-over pattern and just do some free motion quilting over the whole thing. You could put grid lines and just quilt there. You could just do the border lines and then you could quilt around the individual flowers. You could hand quilt them in a matching thread. So say, for example, the lily of the valley, if you hand quilted in a green thread up all the stems, then that will make it quilted and embroidered all at the same time. When you've done that, you then bind the edges, and the borders and binding panel that I've here, this one, has the binding strips on it all ready to go because they're in a lovely grey spot which is echoed in the lily of the valley, which is one of the centre ones. These are all exactly the right length and width you need them, 2.5 inches. There's 4 of them. You join them all right sides together on the diagonal. So I've joined 3 together already because I thought I'd get this far, but I didn't. And then place one like that, one like that. And then you draw a line. Oh, I had a pen earlier. Oh, there this is. There's a pen. Oh, they've got the nice pins there. I should have used those. Get a ruler. We'll do it by eye because you haven't got a ruler. Like this. And use a ruler. It's just I haven't got one. And draw a line from border to border. It's worth spending a bit of time. Now, the reason that you join your binding strips diagonally is because they're going to be wrapped around from the front to the back of the quilt, and that makes so you would have your binding, and then you would have like a little lump where the seam is. By joining them together diagonally, that moves the bulk across, so the bulk isn't just all straight across the binding. It's at an angle that goes round, which will make sense in a minute when I show you what I mean. So just sew diagonally, make sure these are right sides together, that's really important. Take the pins out. Back to the pressing. Where's he gone? There we are. Press it like that. Then take cut off 5mm outside that way. That's the bit you don't want. Don't cut inside. You have to start again. Cut that off. And then you can press the seam open like this. There we go. And obviously press it from the other side, because that keeps it nice and flat. Now you can see that if you're going to sew this round the edge of the quilt, you've got some seam here and some seam here, so you haven't got all the bulk in the same place. And then to bind it, you just, so now I've got 4 strips all joined together. Look, there's loads of it. Fold it together, wrong sides together, and press it, and then you bind it that way. But all of those instructions are, all of that detail is in the instructions. It even tells you about mitring the corners all the way around, and then you join it. You can start and finish wherever you want on one of the sides. And so everything is in the kit, everything you need, except for the wadding and the backing, but that's all available on the website, so you can get everything you need to make your full flower quilt now. And remember, you know, once you've made it, if you think, well, actually, I'm going to keep it really simple, join it all together, make the quilt top, then have a think about it. You might at that point and think, oh, well, actually, I'm going to embroider someone's name on it. I am going to add a bit more. Preferably do it before you quilt the whole thing, but, you know, you can do it afterwards if you want. We've had a message off Colleen. Thank you, Rebecca, for a great tutorial. I now feel I'm ready to make my first quilt. Loving your jumper. Oh, thank you very much. That's the whole point of the Flower of the Month. It's simple. There isn't sort of heavy patchwork involved. You know, really, if you can master this one and you can work out joining together all the borders and the binding and doing it, then the next stage is make your own quilt blocks. And then you can do it. You can then think, well, I'm an embroiderer, I'm not a patchworker. It's really up to you then what technique you use. But once you've worked out how to do the whole thing, it really is very simple. It's just, I've worked out all the maths for you, so you haven't even got to think about all the measurements and the sizes. So we now have less than 10 of the mega bundle left, which has one each of the 12 flowers, which have all the complementary strips on as well, that you won't need for this quilt, they're just for free. Then you get the borders and binding panel, which has all the sashing strips and the corners and the borders and everything, and the binding, and the instructions to make it, for £129.87. Now remember, it's on split pay. You don't have to do split pay, but if you want to, then you pay £64.99 now. And then we will send it the whole bundle to you, and then next month you pay the remainder. There is no interest. It doesn't cost any extra to do that. It's just a more convenient way if you want to split the payment across 2 months. And it is only 1 P&P, so although we send it to you now and we'll and you get charged next month, it is only 1 P&P. We just charge you to send that out. So we've also got the borders and binding kit on its own. So if you have already bought all 12 panels, or you've got 12 panels that are 12 inches wide, and you want to just make this, you don't have to have bought the Flower of the Month. So you don't, you know, if you wanted, because these are a 12-inch cut size, so 11.5 inches finished size, so they won't work with all quilts. But if you wanted to make a quilt and you've got some blocks already, you could buy this panel. Just remember that the cut size of the squares needs to be 12 inches or it won't work, so it's up to you. But you can use it for that because obviously they all work for that. So if you want to buy any of the Flowers of the Month and you didn't buy them, or you've got some, or you've missed some, here we go. Right, shall I show them all? No, I can do it. I can do it. Because we've got them all in order. So, January. Oh. January Carnation. There we go. Beautiful pinks and the complementary of all pinks. And don't forget, you get the label and the quilted by label and all those lovely complementary strips, which are 2.5 inches by 43 inches. So that's January Carnation. Remember, you can make it as big or small as you want. You can cut it to the internal border. You can use the complementary strips to make it even wider, depending on what you want it to be. January. February. That's mine. February is the violet. Again, and these aren't just made up by us. These are the official flower of the month. If you have a look, there are usually 2 flower of the months, and we've just chosen the most popular of them. So there are no official birds of the month, so we've made that up. But this is the official flower of the month. So that's the violet with lovely complementary strips. We now move on to March, which is the daffodil. Isn't that beautiful? Obviously, yellow complementary strips. That's lovely, isn't it? And remember, the label says daffodil. Nice. April, which is this one today. Brand new today, the sweet pea, the final one, because we started in May. So this is your final sweet pea April flower of the month with sweet pea coloured complementary panels. Then we have May, which is Lily of the Valley. This is the one we started with years ago. Well, 12 months ago. And that's in lovely silvery grey colours. Oh, this has been going on for so long, hasn't it? Feels like ages, like how's a whole year gone by? We were in lockdown when we started this. Oh, we still are. Now we've got June. June the rose, but it's a very lovely peachy. So maybe you've got a wedding anniversary, or your name is June, or you love roses, or your name is Rose, or you just love roses, particularly the pink ones. Perfect for that. July is the delphinium. Isn't that lovely? Beautiful, rich purples. These are lovely, sort of almost like purpley grey colour strips. And if you look, you see this little spotty print here. That's the spotty print that is in the borders and the binding panel. So that's how you know it goes together so beautifully, because it is the same print. And you can't just use these strips for the borders and the binding, because the border is wider than the strips. It won't work. Next we've got August, which is the poppy. It's pretty, isn't it? Poppy. And that's got like a sort of, not bright red, but the poppy pink, because some poppies are pink and some are red, but this is like the pinky colours in the strips. September is the aster, which all come in different colours, but this one's purple, with purple borders and binding strips. October is the marigold, which is not a pair of rubber gloves. And then you've got the strips on this one. Lovely sort of rusty orangey colours. That's lovely, isn't it? I like that. That actually would work really well with quilting around the edge of it, because it's got a nice border. So you could just quilt around the flowers or embroider on top of them. Just a green running stitch down the leaves would look nice. November is the chrysanthemum, a pink one. Oh, Paul bought his mum some chrysanthemums for Easter. Did she like them, Paul? Oh, well, that's good. There we go. Pink. Finally, guess what December is? The poinsettia. Obviously, red with red. But it's been done in a shade of red, because there isn't none of the other flowers. Well, I suppose the poppy's got a bit of red, but it's been done in quite a muted shade of red, so it all goes together. It has all been thought through, so that's the whole year. But if you do want the bundle of all 12 flowers on the back of the binder panel and the instructions, which is all of that little lot there, look at all that. There's less than 10 available. You need to get it in your basket, and more importantly, you need to check out £129.87, or it's split over 2 months. Oh, we've had a question about backing fabric. Yes, they're all on the website if you want some others. Oh, there are, yes, white ones with stars that would be fine. But actually, to be honest, the cream ones would be fine too. So just go on the website and you'll find that if you scroll down from the Watch Live, you'll see all of the backing fabrics there. And all the waddings as well. I would recommend using an 80-20 wadding with this, because it's a beautiful quilt. You're going to keep it forever. And 80-20 is a lovely wadding. And when you wash it, cold, absolutely cold, not even warm, cold, it will shrink very slightly and make it look like an heirloom quilt. Beautiful. Anyway, So after the break, we have got Jules back with us, who is going to teach us crewel embroidery using proper crewel wool. Look at that lion, the little face on the monkey. So the book that we've got is a real technique book that's going to show you exactly how to do it. So Jules will be with us in a couple of minutes, and we're going to learn about crewel work.
If you're a Sewing Street or Yarn Lane customer, no matter how many times you check out in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. So don't wait to add the item you want to your basket and check out. You will only pay one P&P even if you check out multiple times in one day.
Hello everyone, my name's Cara Ackerman and I'm absolutely delighted to be here at Sewing Street. I actually originated from Hertfordshire, then went down to Hampshire and then it ended up in the East Midlands. I've been in the East Midlands for about 40 years now, which seems crazy, but 36 of those I actually worked with DMC Creative World, which was wonderful. I really enjoyed that. And then I decided to go freelance, and that's how I got introduced to Sewing Street. I love doing anything to do with textiles, so embroidery, cross stitch, patchwork, done a bit of quilting, bag making, toy making, oh goodness, there's loads and loads of things. What I love doing is just trying something new, and I think one of the tips is don't be frightened of trying something new. You always learn from it, and you know, don't be scared of making mistakes either. We all learn from the mistakes that we make. Little bit about me that you might not know, and that's a bit of a surprise. I once went to the garden party down at Buckingham Palace, the Queen's garden party, for some work that I did with Marie Curie. I was so lucky to go there, and just a wonderful time. So I hope to see more of you on Sewing Street, and I hope to try lots of new crafts with you. So see you again soon. Bye bye.
Keep up to date with what's on Sewing Street and Yarn Lane, as well as all the latest news and special offers by signing up to our email newsletters. For Sewing Street, head on over to www.sewingstreet.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and you're done. It's exactly the same for Yarn Lane. Head on over to www.yarnlane.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and that's it. You are now subscribed to both Sewing Street's and Yarn Lane's email newsletters, so you'll never miss out on the latest news and special offers ever again. Keep up to date with what's on Sewing Street and Yarn Lane, as well as all the latest news and special offers by signing up to our email newsletters. For Sewing Street, head on over to www.sewingstreet.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and you're done. It's exactly the same for Yarn Lane. Head on over to www.yarnlane.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and that's it. You are now subscribed to both Sewing Street's and Yarn Lane's email newsletters, so you'll never miss out on the latest news and special offers ever again.
And welcome back to Sewing Street. It is all about crewel embroidery. If you've never done it before and you want to learn, or you have done it before and you want to see it, or you used to do it years ago, can't remember, it's all about crewel embroidery. So we have got a book for you today, which I've got on here on my desk, which, oh, I need to move my hoops over a bit, which is all about, it's called The Essential Stitch Guides Crewel Work. And it is everything you need to do. And you know why you know it's right? Because it is written by the Royal School of Needlework. They are the gurus of all things embroidery. I mean, the Royal School of Needlework are often brought in, and people from there are used to embroider the royal wedding dresses and all sorts of things. And they work on Hampton Court Palace and they renovate stuff. So they are, you know, the people who know everything, the Royal School of Needlework. And this is written by Jackie MacDonald on behalf of them. So everything you need to know. In fact, it gives you an introduction to the Royal School of Needlework and tells you about it. They are in Hampton Court. Beautiful place. So this is all about the history behind crewel work. Beautiful pictures of it. Materials and equipment you'll need, from hoops and stands, different sorts of needles and threads. What's the difference between a skein and a hank? Why you would use crewel wool. The sort of fabric, because they do have a specific fabric. It's not normally done on just cotton fabric. It's because the wool is slightly thicker. The weave of normal cotton fabric is a little bit tight and it's harder to get through. You can do it on cotton fabric, but it's easier if you use more of a twill fabric because the threads slides through better. Then all about design and inspiration and traditional designs, because crewel work is one of those things that, although it's a technique, it's also a style. I think because of its history and heritage and what it's been used for, the designs that it's used often have a lot of sort of swirls and curves, because crewel work is, crewel wool is much finer than tapestry wool. So it's easier to stitch in different colours. You'll find a lot of people who do needlepoint will combine 2 or 3 strands of crewel wool together to stitch normal needlepoint, and then you get a multicoloured effect. But a lot of sort of scrolling. There's also a lot of animals, because you know in like heraldic shields and everything, animals are used to mean different symbols. That's what you get with crewel work. Talking about colour, stitches. Very important to work in a frame or a hoop. You've got to keep your fabric taut. So they talk about that, whether you're using a big frame or a hoop. Then talking about designs and how you transfer. I mean, really, it is covering everything. I like the fact that it talks about crewel wool and how to get the wool off the skein as well, because it's one of those things that if you don't do it correctly, then you get in a right angle. But it does show you really clearly how to do that, how to thread your needle. And you'll be pleased to know that threading your needle with crewel wool is quite easy because it's a nice thick yarn, works better. Then you talk on to stitches, because obviously there are very traditional stitches. Most of them are the normal embroidery stitches you will use, but there are traditional ones that are used in crewel work. They're used for other things too, but there are sort of a handful of different stitches. So split stitch, trellis stitch. Look at that. And then here and there you just get pictures of some really traditional crewel work. I mean, that is beautiful, isn't it? Look at the use of shading and colour. I think crewel work is more attractive than embroidery with stranded cotton. I think because of the way that the wool sits on the fabric, it fills the area better and it just has a much nicer texture because it's thicker. Talk about different, they use a lot of padded stitches in crewel work because then you get those different raised effects. So here are all the stitch guides, all the ones you need, with interspersed with pictures of crewel work as well. So it's a really good, I mean, if nothing else, obviously all of these stitches are used in normal embroidery too. You can use them with stranded cotton as well. They don't only have to be used with crewel work. So it's a really good stitch directory. And more designs. Look how many. Loads and loads and loads and loads of stitches. There's a lot. For £12.99, there's ever such a lot in here. And remember, you know, these are stitches that you use for all of your embroidery. Turkey rug stitch for making lots of fluffy bits. Working the designs. And then in the back of the book, you've got a few projects to just give you some ideas and inspiration. That you've like, you've learnt all the techniques, you've read all the transfer methods, and then these are just a few designs that you can have a go at yourself. The Tree of Life. The Tree of Life represents one of the oldest spiritual symbols known to man, symbolising the tree of life that grew in paradise. That's beautiful. Look at the shading and the colours. And that's very easy to achieve. This is the phoenix. I love the colours used in him. All these sort of rich mustard yellows and the greens. Isn't he beautiful? And then we've got the lion. So this is the one that Jules has done for us. Now, he was featured right back in the beginning. I've got to find him now. In one of the traditional crewel work motifs. He's one of the most traditional ones. So there he is with the monkeys. Isn't he beautiful? So this is the one that Jules is going to show us. But obviously there's various different patterns in here. Just a leaf. That's lovely, isn't it? I mean, very, very simple. Really good way of practicing your techniques. And on the back there's a little snail. So that's a fantastic book. I think for £12.99, I think that's great. But we've also got another book. We're not going to do, we haven't got time to focus on 2 techniques in one day. You wouldn't get enough information. But we have got the same style book, but all about white work instead. Again, produced by the Royal School of Needlework. And it takes you through, I mean, this white work is beautiful, isn't it? Often white work is very raised, using lots of padded stitches, but also you get pulled thread stitches in between areas to create pattern. Look at what you can see from this. This is by stitching. You're stitching on linen. You're pulling threads together with the stitches, which creates the holy effect. And often areas are cut away as well. So this is what you would think of maybe as like broderie anglaise, where the areas are cut away, but that is white work as well. So white work covers, I mean, it's just stunning, isn't it? So again, exactly like the other book, threads, needles, fabrics. So here you've got a mixture of filling stitches, cut work and padded stitches, and together that's all white work. So this shows you the different things. There's the pulled thread work, which I showed you earlier, where you don't take threads out, you just pull them together, because you often stitch it on linen. It's a lot more flexible than cotton, so you can pull them together. It's hardanger there's also drawn thread work, which is what hardanger is, and you actually remove the threads for that. But with pulled thread work, you do tight stitches, which pulls bunches and groups of threads together, which creates that. And then you've got all of the cut work. So pulled work, drawn work and cut work, and then all of the decorative stitches. And by combining them all together, you get all the different things, and it shows you the different order that you do them in to create a piece like this. I just think it's stunning. I mean, I think hopefully we will focus on this because, you know, all the techniques are in here. It's showing you how to do all of the different things that I've just been talking about, from the pulled to the drawn to everything. All the stitches, it's beautiful. We will do something, we will do a show about white work at some point, but we just wanted to offer you this book. If you like embroidery and you just wanted to maybe take it that one step further, and you think, I would like to try one of these more traditional techniques, because these are produced by the Royal School of Needlework, they are absolutely accurate, but look at the quality of the photos, how close up and clear they are, and show you exactly what to do. And then again, in the back of the book, there are some projects for you to do. But we do have a little deal for you as well. If we've only got a few, but if you want to buy both books together, save more than 10%, $22.99, the Crewel work and the white work book together in a bundle. So if you fancy sitting in front of the telly and doing a bit of embroidery, learning something new, going back to the traditional skills to create things of absolute beauty, if you enjoy the mindfulness of the sitting down again, immersed in a technique, this special bundle, $22.99 for the white work book and the Crewel workbook. Okay, they are also available separately, but if you just want to buy them together, we only have a few that we've put together in a bundle, but you can have both of them. Now, what's important, as I mentioned going through all this, it's important to use the right materials and the right techniques. So we've bought specially for you 12 skeins. Now, this is Appleton's Crewel wool. Appleton's have been making tapestry wool and Crewel wool for years. They are the people to go to. Crewel wool used to be made by various different people, but I'm pretty sure that Appleton's is the only one, or one of the only people left that are doing it. It's 100% wool. It is exactly what you should use for Crewel work. It's very fine, and we've put together a bundle of 10 using sort of a mixed, 12, a mixture of more sort of neutral shades, well, nature shades, because a lot of the designs that you use in the book are sort of flora and fauna, or trees, that sort of thing. So we've got browns and greens, creams, we've got floral colours. So there's a nice mixture. So the designs that are in the book, you get, I think it's 8 metres on a skein. Doesn't actually say. I always thought it was 8. Oh God, 25. 25. No, stranded cotton's 8 metres. 25, so it's going to go a long way. This works out at 91 pence a skein. It is really important when you're learning a new skill. I don't always say, oh, you need to spend an absolute fortune, you need to get the best of the best, because until you know whether you like it, I wouldn't say that. But for something like Crewel work, you need to use Crewel wool. And it's not as easy to find all of these things and to get the right thing. And it is important. If you use pure wool and you use Crewel wool, you will get the effect that's described in the book. So for £10.99, you've got a lot of the flora and the fauna shades that you need to create the designs that are shown. I mean, I think it's lovely that you've got the sort of the orange and the burnt orange, because those are the sort of colours that are used, for example, in the Phoenix. He uses that, and the Phoenix uses the greens and the yellows and the mustards. But then if you want to do some sort of floral pictorial work, you've got the two pinks and the mauves. So it's a beautiful selection of colours. £10.99 for the bundle. Right, fabric next. Remember we talked about you need fabric that's a more open weave. We've got the linen, which is stone. This is 1/2 metre, but it's a really nice open weave. It's also got a really nice texture to it, so that the wool will go through it better than if it was a tightly woven cotton fabric. But the texture, if I open it up, gives a really nice effect. And it is what you would have seen Crewel work done. Not exactly this fabric, obviously, but this sort of fabric with a bit of a texture to it. And it's a lovely neutral colour as well. It's sort of a, yeah, it's like a bit like a cappuccino or maybe a latte. Then we've got cream. So this is a more sort of old traditional look. But if you're thinking of, I mean, that's beautiful for a cushion, isn't it? And then we've got this lovely natural, it's almost like if you look on the selvage, it's got a bit of grey in it. So it's obviously woven grey one way and cream the other, because you can see the creams with the threads going that way. But it does have a really nice, almost like a vanilla feel to it. And we also have a calico. There we are. Which is perfect, isn't it? It's a nice weight. Be ideal for sort of backing your cushion with, maybe. Right, we've got hoops. Hoops, because you do need to keep your fabric taut when you are doing Crewel embroidery. You can use all different things. You can use frames, hoops, floor frames. So we've got some hoops here in different sizes, from the very little one all the way up, all the way up to the bigger ones, depending on the size that you're doing. They're all on the website, so have a look and choose the size that you want. And we also have the two different sorts of frames depending on where you're going to be doing. We've got the table clamp one, which is really useful because it's a hoop, but you clamp, it's got the hoop in it. It's not just the table clamp, it's a 10-inch hoop, and you can clamp it to your table to use. And we also have the seat frame, which is really good because with the seat frame, you sit on it and that's what holds it still. And then you can, then you're hands-free. Oh, the seat frame is still at the early bird price. This is fantastic, this is. Should we get it out? Say yes.
Yes.
Yeah. She didn't say yes, a bit worried then. Oh, like they've had this out before, the box is slightly broken. Well, not broken, but you know. So look, this is the size of the frame you get. Really nice, and it's got a really nice deep rim, so it will hold it very tightly. And then this bit is you sit on. So you put your bottom on there, and then you attach the hoop. You put that bit in there. You put that bit in there. Yeah, always best to not follow the instructions. Can't be that hard though, can it? Really?
Just a few bits.
How hard can it be? So you screw that bit in there, and then that bit goes in there, and then that goes there, and then it has got like a clampy thing here that holds that there. So what you do is you sit on it, but it also means, because of the clampy bit, you can adjust it. So you can angle it towards you. It means you've got hands free. It does make things like embroidery, particularly Crewel embroidery, easier, because if you've got a frame that is either attached to the table or you're sitting on, you can have one hand to put it through the top and one at the bottom. I quite often just have a hoop in my hand, which means I have to keep moving my hand from one to the other. But one of these is brilliant, and because you can sit on the sofa and you can sit on it, so it's only $22.99 for that. saving £5. It's brilliant because you can embroider it on the sofa without having like big frames and everything around you, because you just sit on it, and it all collapses and folds flat, so you can put it in a box afterwards when you're not using it. It doesn't have to stay like this. Anyway, so Jules,
Yes.
tell me about Crewel embroidery then.
So it's really therapeutic doing Crewel embroidery. You can't rush it. You need to really take your time over it and concentrate on your stitches. That sit-on unit is really useful.
Okay.
Some of the stitches are very easy when you've got both hands working.
Right.
And a bit
okay.
trickier when you haven't.
Okay. So it's worth it.
I
then.
haven't got a stand at the minute. I've just got hoops. But yeah, it at 22, what was it, 99, if you're going to go into this craft, definitely get one of those,
because it will make it easier.
It makes it so much easier, and you can just enjoy it a little bit more. But yeah, Crewel it's sort of in between embroidery and tapestry, isn't it, really? Because of if you think about the thicknesses of the yarn that you use, obviously with crewel work, well, not obviously, you mightn't know, but with crewel work, as we were saying, it's a 2-ply material, so you don't unstrand it, you don't use it anything other than like that.
As
you
it
might
is.
use it double, but you don't split it apart like
divisible.
you do for the, and it's a nice weight. You can get some good detail on it, and if you need it to be a bolder design, you can actually build up your colours as well as your the thickness of the thread on there.
Okay.
So I would recommend that you use the thread singly though, and just build up by going over what you're doing, as opposed to using it as a double thread, because you just don't get the finesse if you use the double thread.
I think you only use the double if you're doing actual sort of needle point with it, and then you combine them and they look lovely. But no, I think you're right. I think you need
you need to just be able
full
to
embroidery. Just the one.
But it was really interesting to go through the book as well, because there's some beautiful examples of what you can do.
Amazing
with what you've got.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
gorgeous. If you look through, thinking,
if you've got the time to do them all, there's some really nice ones. But I think the book is really useful as a technique book and as a thought-provoking. This is the sort of design that I want to use.
Right.
If you were picking out a design to use, you've got to kind of decide how you're going to put it down on your fabric and use it. So I think to start off with, do some little vignettes, if you like, of what you're going to try out. The calico is really good because then you can do some playing around without going into your sort of
with the
more elaborate
expensive cloth.
fabric.
So calico's a good sort of practice fabric.
Yeah. So the way that I started was I had a look at the picture that I wanted to do, which is obviously that's in the back of the book as one of your examples, and I naughtily photocopied it. But then I had a look at it and just decided what kind of stitches were needing to be used, and I had looked through the book and made a little note of what stitches were used. And then what you need to do is just have a look at how the picture is composed. So if you wanted to copy something like this, you need to look at it and see what goes down first, because you'll be working on top of things. So for example, for him, the bottom piece was my first piece, and then the tree, and then the leaves in different orders, and then the monkey, then the lion, and then the flowers at the end. So it just takes a little bit of planning if you're going to do something fairly involved. But if not, if you're just going to have a go at some different shapes, then you can be your own designer. A lot of the crewel work is, as you say, from a particular era. It's called Jacobean, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
that's the name for it. Yeah, that's where it comes from.
And a lot of it is that sort of stylized. But the leaf at the very back, that's a contemporary design.
I think it's nice though, isn't it? I think it's nice when they take old traditional things and then just add a modern twist to it.
Put a vamp on it, yeah. So that is a contemporary design, which on first looking at it, you'd think it was a Jacobean design, but somebody's actually kind of thought about it and recreated it. So I'm going to show you today some of the things, how to set up, how you kind of attach your wall, and what you might do for designs and what stitches you might use if you've got the choice to use on different things. Okay, so first of all, oh, by the way, the 25 metres does go a long way, because that I used on the monkey and part of the lion.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I've still
That
got
is
quite
a
a
lot.
lot.
I'd forgotten it's 25
Yeah.
metres. It's such a lot, isn't it? You always think of stranded cotton as being 8.
Yeah.
And it's 25.
So if you're going to use a hoop, and if you're going to use a bigger piece, not so much with a smaller piece, because you probably do it in a reasonable length of time, but once you start hooping up your material, can you see on here, I've got a little bit of a line, and that was only sort of like 20 minutes in the hoop, just while I was positioning what I was going to do today. So what you might like to do is bind your hoop, or put some tissue paper around it so that it doesn't mark your fabric or bruise your fabric, is what they call it.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think it talks about that at the front,
at the
doesn't
beginning,
it?
I think. So the design that I decided to do, just a simple circular design, similar to one of the ones at the beginning. I just thought I could show you a few different
Okay, yeah, no, that'd be
styles
lovely.
on it. So I did mine, rather than using the powder and the pounce, which is what they do in traditional designs. That was too complicated to use my friction pen. So I love my friction pen. So what you'll do is you'll put
But this is the Royal School of Needlework. They use
Yes,
the traditional things.
yeah, they
don't
do. You've got 2 parts to your hoop. So you've got the top part, which has got your adjustable ring piece, and then the bottom, which is a solid piece. So put your fabric over the bottom piece.
So did you trace it with a light box?
No, I just drew that freehand.
Oh, okay.
I
But if
just-
you were tracing something,
Yes, you could use a light box, definitely. Yeah, you could. And then make sure that when you're putting your hoop on, that your fabric is reasonably taut to begin with, and then just tighten your hoop.
okay.
Because what you do want is you want some resistance when you're putting your needle through. You don't want it to go saggy. If you're using a big frame, so when I did the lion, I had a strap frame, a square one. You lace that on, and then you can adjust it around so you can
Okay.
keep the tension on that. But with these,
I
it's
guess the
just a
thing is,
tension on that.
because it's very textured, it's not like with stranded cotton where you can move the frame across stitching you've already worked. You don't want to be putting the hoop or the frame on top of already worked.
No, not really, because also the way that you're going to build up the picture, you're going to start from the back and come to the front. So you keep having to move it around, really. So if you were, say you'd made a bigger picture with, and there was lots of leaves and trees and stuff, and you wanted to do all the reverse side first, well, you would then have to keep moving it over. So I think it'd be a bit...
Yeah, so you do
Bit
need
annoying.
to have a hoop or frame bigger.
Yeah.
You can't keep moving it across because it would wreck the stitching, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So with your needles, the Crewel needles that you can get, I don't know if you've got
We have
needles.
got Crewel, because people often call them embroidery needles, but actually originally they were always called Crewel. So I always call them Crewel needles, not embroidery, but they're either or. But Crewel is their original name because they were used for Crewel embroidery. We've got them on the screen at £1.99. The point of these is that they have nice elongated eyes. They've got elongated eyes, which means they're easier to thread, particularly with Crewel, but they have lovely sharp points. Well, Kat, can you thread it? You could thread up multiples in different colours. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I just thread them one at a time.
Well, yeah, you can. It depends. So when I was doing the tree has got 3 different colours on it. So I had 3 needles on the go, just because it was easier.
Otherwise, you'd be undoing.
Yeah.
But these are exactly the right needles. So people do call them embroidery now, but really their traditional name is Crewel because that's what they're used for.
Yeah, and you want the sharp point really on them.
Well, they've got the lovely sharp point, but they've also got that elongated eye, so which is great for. That's why I use them for stranded cotton. They're great for getting stranded cotton, and quill wool through.
Yeah.
As well.
So
Right.
the way that you'll do it is exactly like you would do your tapestry needles. You just wrap your wool around your needle, and then squeeze it with your fingers and push it through, and hopefully, I've got one threaded. If not, if my needle won't help me today, there you go.
See, that's easier, isn't it? I think because
Yeah.
the wool, it goes through better than when you're trying to get stranded
because it
cotton through.
squashes when you yeah. And then on the other end, obviously, you'll just want a single knot, which I think I've got one already. And with the Crewel technique, you're going to bury your threads, as they say. So you make your knot, and strangely you'll go from the front to the back with your knot. So let's suppose I'm going to do this one first, and I'm going to do a basic stitch on here. I'm going to do a split stitch on here, which is one of the very basic ones. So I would go at some point on the line and then just take your thread down. Now at this point, if you had it on a frame, you would go down with one hand, pass over your needle and come back up with the other. But because I've obviously got to hold it, I won't be doing that. And then you come up a little way away and just make a really small stitch, like over one thread, and then do that again, kind of go back. And the point is that you're going to go over these stitches, but what you want to do is be able to cut the knot off. Now if you pull that and you're still pulling thread through, don't cut it yet. You're not in the right time to cut it, because otherwise you'll lose it. But I think we're okay there. So using these little needles. So your split stitch, come up where you want to start. So you see I've drawn the lines. You'll because I've got a friction pen, you can sort of waft the iron over it later and it will all disappear. So come all the way up, go all the way down, and then you're aiming your needle, so I'm coming up and I want to come up at some point in that middle of that stitch, and I'm literally splitting the stitch. So you would use this for outlines, so go down with the same length of stitch and again come up at some point in the middle of it. You use it for outlines, and you use it when you're doing a padded stitch, because when you're doing a padded stitch you want a definite rim to be able to stretch your stitches across.
Right, okay, so that's sort of you would do that first.
Yes, so this is like basically making your outline. So I don't know how much you can see of, sorry, I'm trying to keep my hands away.
Yeah, it's not easy showing embroidery stitches because you need to be really close to be able to see it, but it's looking good. I think it's coming out very clear.
So that's one way you can do an outline. If you thought, well, actually, I want it to be a bit more raised than this, you could then do a stem stitch, which is very similar to the outliner stitch we did earlier. And what you do with a stem stitch is, again, you'll make your first stitch. So imagine that was my first stitch. And then, oh, where have I got? That's not what you want to do. You don't want to go over and over. So if you're using two,
I do that quite a lot, and I think, how did I manage that?
But I think if you're using two hands, it's easier because you never go over the side. Because your hand's always underneath.
I think that's what's good, because I've only before I'd only have sort of like the table clamp frame thing. I don't want to sew a table, but the seat frame's such a clever idea, isn't it? Because you can, having the freedom of those two hands makes quite a difference.
It does. So what you'll do is you'll have your little loop here. So I'm not pulling all the way through. What I'm going to do is come halfway back. So if you can see, and I'm going to complete that stitch. And then I'm going to keep my thread down towards the bottom. So if I go down again, keep a hoopy loop, and then back up halfway along. So I've kept this thread, and then pull it back again. And you might be able to see, it's just a bit more raised. So if it's called stem stitch, and there's a reason for it, because you use it for stems of flowers and leaves and what have you. So come up in the middle and then draw your threads through. Okay. So once we've done all of our, so we do the stem first. I've got a bunch of grapes I've drawn at the bottom there. So my stem stitch is going to go all the way along.
That curves really nicely, doesn't it? Around.
It does. You
lovely.
can influence where the next stitch is
So
going.
what's the difference between stem stitch and outline stitch?
So outline stitch is where you, instead of, I'm going at the bottom here, but outline stitch, you would take your thread to the top and you'd go in and out.
Okay, on the same line.
Yes, so I'd be doing an in and out like that.
But the stem, you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're very similar. It's like, well, why have you called it different? But that's what it is. Yeah.
Very slight.
And
difference.
that pushes. So if you were doing something in a very sinuous shape, you might have it going towards the bottom on the concave curve, and then on the convex curve you might have it going on the outside, so you could do it either way. All right, so
I like that one.
Let's have some grapes now then. So with your thread, as we were saying before, you've got obviously it's in a skein of thread. You will have an end, an open end.
Yeah, it does even say in this book how to do that. I love that.
Yeah.
Because that's like really key, isn't it?
It is, definitely, because otherwise your threads are all messed up. So literally you pull that and it will come out really easily. You don't have to think about, where am I going with it? And that's about, so how big it is for you, that's about how long you want it to be.
Okay.
So you are your own measure.
There's not wrist to armpit.
Yeah. Wrist to armpit.
Wrist to armpit, I bet it doesn't say that.
No, probably not. It's the Royal School of Needlework.
Yes.
Doesn't say that.
It says fingertip to elbow.
Yeah.
Fingertip to elbow.
Look. Well, I always want a bit more.
Oh yeah, but you see wrist, fingertip,
yes.
Elbow. I love that.
So
Fingertip to elbow, not wrist to armpit.
So we started again, and with this one, I know I'm going to fill all of that space. So I'm just going to take my knot down and then do a couple of little stitches, really little stitches. But when you're infilling, if you like, it can be anywhere, just to make sure that that thread doesn't come apart. And this is so that you keep the back neat. I mean, I haven't done much yet, but it just keeps it neat. Okay, so French knots we're going to do here. Don't be frightened with French knots. It's just purposely knotting your wool. So with a French knot, come up wherever you want your knot to be. So pull your, this is where the frame is handy.
Yes, because you need that extra hand.
Yeah. So pull your thread up, take your needle, go underneath and wind around. Where you first came up, go one thread next door to it, and you keep this hand taut. So now I'd like my frame, please, but never mind. So you pull the wool through, pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it, and then let it go. And that's your French knot.
Lovely.
So just be gentle, because if you yank this now,
it'll go all the way.
you'll have another little stitch. So we'll do another one.
And they are used in a lot of these designs, aren't they?
They are. There's one right at the front where it shows you kind of a previous work where there's shading on French knots right at the very beginning. Honestly, that must have taken some concentration to get them all as neat as each other. So needle up, wind your thread round. Traditional French knots, you only do one wind.
Wow.
Do you see where, have you got where I was saying?
Detail of effective shading with French knots.
Yeah.
See page 74. There. Look at that.
You got it. Right, so you pull gently, gently, gently. There we go.
So we've got about 5 minutes left.
No. Oh, okay. What? Right, okay, so
Only
let's...
joking, we've got 3 hours.
So let's do an extension on a French knot, seeing as I've got that. I'm just
scared her.
I was thinking I haven't done half of the things that... Right, okay, so with we're going to do pistol stitch now, so which is like a French knot but travelling. So if you come up again, do your French knot, so do your...
this is like watching a YouTube with a book, it's brilliant.
twist around, and then you travel backwards with a pistol stitch, so you don't want to go in the same place.
Makes ideal flower stamens.
Yes.
Or butterfly antennae.
There we go. Butterfly antennae.
So it's a French knot on a stalk.
Yes. So there we go. And then continuing down there, I would do just an any old whatever it is. You can do a back stitch. So some of the stitches you would do are what you would kind of normally do anyway.
But it's nice that they give you examples of what you would do, like that French knot. They've shown a bunch of grapes, which is amazing. It's just so beautiful.
There's on my line, there's a bunch of grapes.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
so that's that. So let's have a look at. I want to show you some. I want to show you long and short. Right, okay.
Right,
so
long and short. Okay.
What I've done here is I've done a split stitch outline. And because I've got a leaf that's in front of another one, I'm going to do the back one first. So with the long and short stitch, you will start at the top, and literally, this is very good for shading. So I'm using one colour here, but I would then follow it on with a slightly lighter blue and a slightly lighter blue, then perhaps a white on there to give you the shading. So you come down, I've drawn a centre line. Always when you're filling in a shape, start in the middle. So do one long stitch, and then your next stitch will be about half of that. So if you go next to it and come down half the way, if you can see that, and then go on to the other side and come down half the way.
It is very good for the shading though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That
And
leaf
the
there.
way you get the way you get the shading. So this is where what we're doing at the minute. The way you get that shading is making sure that you're doing the long and short.
But I think you get a better effect with the Crewel embroidery than stranded cotton, because I was doing some of this long and short at the weekend, and it's quite hard getting it all to sit right next to each other because the stranded is just so solid, isn't it?
Yeah.
But with the wool, it sort of almost fluffs out to fill the shape better.
Yeah.
It looks much more beautiful. I love that leaf.
So that's that, and then next to it, if you have a look on page 51,
Page 51.
we've got,
It's
it is
my
called,
personal YouTube, this. Page 51.
it's called the leaf stitch.
The leaf
So-
stitch, it's used for leaves. This one. It's quite
So
clever.
start at the bottom,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Actually, these diagrams are really good, aren't they? Start at the
Yeah.
bottom. Yeah, I've got that.
Start at
and
the
then you
bottom.
go up onto the top left.
go on to the top, well,
And the
I've gone
top right, so that's the needle.
and then go back to the bottom again.
This book is great for any
And go
embroidery, to be honest, because
up
although
that
it's
way.
Crewel, the stitch guides are brilliant.
Yeah. And so that starts the cross, and then what we're going to do is come just underneath. Sorry, it's right down at the bottom, so until you get into it, you can't actually see it. Come down at the bottom and go a little bit up. And then where you crossed over for the other one, go down at the bottom and then a little bit up again. So you go up by increments. We're going to keep the same colour. Now what I've got to do is find where I went for my second stitch, which is here, and come up and over. So I'm not going right down to the bottom. My new bottom, if it were, is the last stitch I did. So that one there goes up and over to here. So that's there. So that you'll carry on all the way up and keep that as your centre line, and you'll end up with that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's nice, isn't it? Because it's still open with that. You can still see the fabric beneath it, but it looks like a leaf.
And then the last one, I'll just, have I got time to just show you one?
You've got 2 minutes.
Right, okay.
Van Dyke stitch. Wonder why it's called that.
I think it's because it looks like a...
It's nothing to do with Dick Van Dyke, is it?
Whoa!
Actually, do you know that was on
Anyway.
yesterday? It was.
Mary Poppins.
Helen. Oh, dear all at Sewing Street, loving the Crewel work lesson. Here's my interpretation, which you can see is a work in progress.
Oh,
Helen,
brilliant. Well done.
that's amazing. That's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good. Cool. I was going to do one of these, which is a whipped wheel.
A whip wheel.
A whip wheel. So draw yourself a circle, take your thread in a kind of cross and then a in between the cross, so it's 8 strands of it.
There's the whip wheel, got that.
So you want to, whoop. Maybe it'll be 6 spokes to my wheel at the minute. So you're just crossing in the middle. And ideally you'd do it in a different colour, but I've not got time to change my colour. So what you then do, start in the middle.
Oh, so you do your wheel and then you whip it.
You go up and then you go under. So this is a surface stitch. So we've done outline, stem, and then we've done outline filled. We've done that other one, and now this is a surface stitch. So you go around it. It's a bit like when you do a ribbon rose.
Yeah, so you just go under and over, and it gives a beautiful effect, doesn't it? You get these sort of central ridges.
It's almost like a bullion knot in the middle.
And they haven't said what that's used for, which seems a bit mean.
Surface decoration.
Just surface decoration. I guess
reckon.
you could just work these little woven wheels here and there, couldn't you?
Yeah. So that sort of gives you an idea.
Actually, that phoenix's eye is a woven wheel.
Ah, there we are. That's what you'd use it on.
And then he's called a parrot. I don't know whether he's a parrot. He's called Phoenix at the beginning, and then he turns into a parrot. Oh well.
Demoted.
He gets demoted. That's strange.
Right, so you can sort of see it. So I'm going over and under.
Lovely. Well, I think that's been...
So sorry, everybody. I've got so many things I was going to show you.
It's fine. No, you've shown us loads because we've talked through Crewel work. We've gone through all the fabrics and I think it's the basic stuff that you've taught us, like the transferring and then those stitches.
Yeah.
It's just to sort of think, I'd like to have a go. So thank you so much. Well, and the cushion.
That's right.
And the beautiful cushion.
The colours aren't quite as good as the latest because I had a limited mixture.
Yeah, but they are beautiful, aren't they?
Nice and bright.
Isn't that lovely? So thank you so much, Jules.
That's all right.
And when are you back with us?
End of the month.
Okay.
I'm not sure what I'm doing yet, but yeah, end of the month.
End of the month. All right, well, we'll see you then. Is it a Monday?
It is a Monday.
Oh, well, I'll see
Sorry.
you then. That's great. No, I love working with you.
Oh, bless you.
Great. So I'll book myself in. Except for next Monday. I'm not doing next
Thank you.
Monday. I'm doing next Tuesday. I can't remember why. I had to swap. But other than that, I'm Mondays.
No, it's Monday.
So start with the book, the Crewel workbook. This is the book that we were talking about in the beginning. Over the half of the stock has already gone of that. It's been wonderfully popular, which is fantastic because there's so much technique. But remember, it's got so many stitch guides and they're ever so clear. And believe me, I've looked at a lot of stitch guides, lots and lots, when I worked on the embroidery magazine. And these are really good stitch guides. So they're really good for any sorts of embroidery. But if you want to have a go at Crewel work and create something as beautiful and stunning as that, this is the book, and it is written by the Royal School of Needlework, so you know it's accurate, you know there's tradition and heritage and what they're saying is right. I mean, it's best if you want to take your own shortcuts, that's up to you, but at least you're starting from a standpoint of knowing that this is how you should do it. We've also got the white workbook, which obviously we didn't even finish Crewel work. We don't even have a hope of doing white work as well. Can you imagine? We go, white work, there we go, we've finished. Woo, it's done. So, but it is the same, you know, from the Royal School of Needlework. It's got the same beautiful stitch guides, extremely clear. At the back, you've got, they've got net darning. Oh, I forgot to look at that. You've got a few project ideas at the back, reworking traditional designs, and an angelfish. And you can buy that one at £12.99 as well. But if you want both, like that, less than 5 of these pairs, £22.99, save 10% if you buy both of them. You'll be an embroidery expert if you have these two. But if you fancy working Crewel today, we did say it's very important. There are little shortcuts you can take, but do not take the shortcut of using the wrong yarn. You do need to use Crewel wool, 100% wool, made by Appledons, who are the traditional Crewel work people. It is exactly what you need. There are 12 skeins. That works out at 91 pence a skein, which is extremely good value. How many metres? 25 metres. Then he said 150. Would have been a bit ambitious. That'll be a hank then.
It's definitely worth getting it.
It is. Okay, so 25 metres, and you've got, you know, the black and the white. You've got floral colours, the flora and fauna colours, so it's perfect for Crewel work, and it is what you need. First time we've ever done Crewel, and we've also got the Crewel needles. Very important to buy them. You may know them as embroidery needles. Originally they were called Crewel needles, but they have got the right size eyes and points to get through the fabric. The fabric that we recommended using, which is the linen, look on the website. If you click on Watch Live and scroll down below there, it's all on there, whether you want the calico or the linen. Newsflash. We've spoken to management about the Flower of the Month small charm pack panel, and we are going to try and get some more in stock, and they'll be on the website. We've had a lot of people who wanted it, sold out in the last hour. So we're in consultation, not confrontation. We're in confrontation. No, we're on nice consultation with management who are looking into it, and we'll let you know. So if you missed the Flower of the Month charm panel or any of the kits on there, we did the binding and the borders panel, and we did the full kit to buy all 12 flowers. Really, really popular. So if you've got that in your basket, you need to check out. And we will let you know about getting hold of the charm pack panel, because it did sold out. And we have had over 600 entries today for the Easter egg competition, and the winner will be announced tomorrow. Who's going to win that amazing fabric? So don't forget to email the answer to your question to studio@sewingstreet.com. Tell us where you saw the egg on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We will pick a winner at random to win that amazing prize of 100 fabric pieces, half a metre each. So that's it for Sewing Street. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, because we've got Yarn Lane coming up. But I'll just let you know what's happening tomorrow. In the morning at 8 o'clock, we have got In the Garden with Barley Batik bundles. It's difficult to say, isn't it? Lovely. 9 o'clock, Dawn Taylor's Sewing Room accessories. At 10 o'clock, we've got Sewing Room tools. At 11 o'clock, we've got Applique art. Oh, that sounds nice with Dawn Taylor. And at 12 o'clock, we've got pre-cuts and more. But, coming up on Yarn Lane in just a few moments' time, we've got 2 new things. We've got a brand new guest designer who is a knitwear designer, and we've got a brand new range of yarn and patterns from West Yorkshire Spinners. Lace weight yarn, new colours, new patterns. Anne Canalis is with us, and she is the designer of them. She is an absolute expert at lace weight knitting, which is fantastic yarn because it goes a very long way. You get a lot for your money. And she'll be with us in a few minutes' time to talk us through. Everything is on pre-order, so if you want to buy one of the kits and then just sit back and relax and watch the show, do that. Go on. You need to be on www.yarnlane.com if you're watching on the website or Facebook. If you're watching on TV, just stay where you are. And we will see you back here in a few minutes' time.